Hello, everyone. Welcome to the third episode of our Podcast of All podcast series, where we are counting down the days to the Halo CEA release. In this show, we're going to be talking about everything that's related to the Halo fiction, including the Halo campaigns, the Halo books, the extra story stuff that we're going to see, hopefully in Halo 4 we'll speculate on, and some of the other stuff that we've seen, like in the graphic novels, and anything else that's related to the Halo story, mainly revolving around Master Chief. And as always, I have quite a panel here to help me move things along on topics, and we will be getting more people as the night goes on. And we'll see how long this lasts. The last one lasted about 5 hours, so we'll see how long this one goes for. But to introduce our guests, we have a couple of returning guests, and I'll go ahead and start with them. We have Keat from the Running Riot. Welcome back. Meep. That's all you have to say is meep?
Boring.
Yeah, I already said everything I had to say in the pre-show.
Well, you have to save some content for the actual show, dude.
I know, I do that all the time.
Come on, man.
Oh, okay, I'll try.
Okay.
I'll bring it down from
all right.
the bowels.
Ugh, I don't know if I want it down from there.
I'm going to pull it out from the bowels.
Ugh, that sounds ugh.
Yeah, I know.
Not sure if I want that. We also have Green Skull from Ready Up Live. Hey! From Canada land.
Yeah,
In
it's really
Canada.
polar bears and whatnot.
How's the weather up there? I bet it's getting cold, isn't it?
Ah,
Hey, Canada, it's cold up there.
this is all that happens, man. This is why you just don't admit to an American you're from Canada. You can't hear the end of it. I hate this. I hate you all.
It's
Yeah, it's cold.
It's
I
not
wear
just a
sweaters.
hate, it's a love-hate relationship.
Deal with it.
Then fine, I will.
Fine.
Fine. Be that way.
Alrighty.
All right. No, we love all of our international guests.
I don't.
Well, you have a problem, sir.
I know.
You have some cultural issues that you need to figure out.
I'm working on it.
You're working on it? You have the rest of your life to deal with them? Is that the case?
That's correct.
Okay. Hopefully you'll address those a little bit sooner than that. But moving down the line, we have new time person on the show. We have Final Postmortem.
How's it going, guys?
Hey.
Welcome to Podtacular.
Thanks. Happy to be here.
Well, we'll see how happy you are after the sanity ensues.
This could be a first of many or your last. Be like, oh,
Hopefully the first of many.
these guys are retarded.
Oh, what?
No,
Oh, come
us.
on.
I'm
Us.
actually surprised. I sat down and started listening to that 5-hour one. Didn't think I'd make it all the way through, but enjoyed every minute of it.
It's enticing,
So,
isn't it?
a lot of good stuff talked about in there.
Hook, line, and sinker. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff. And hopefully we'll have enough stuff to do the same thing.
Awesome.
And we also have Sick in the Head. Sick in the Head. Hello. Welcome to the craziness that is Podtacular.
Nice to be in here. Quite a surprise. Wasn't expecting it.
Well, hopefully having someone of the opposite sex will give us the opportunity to be a little bit more on track. Because at least for the last few ones, we've been very likely to go off topic. So
You mean sword fights?
no, not necessarily the sword fights, but yeah. So we'll have some of the other people from Waypoint, like Rika's little Grim Brother 1, join in later. They're doing the Waypoint Modcast at the moment, which they're doing their second show, so hopefully it's going pretty well for them right now. So let's get into, since as kind of start off with where everyone entered into the whole Halo scene, where your first experiences in Halo were. So give everyone kind of a timeline on what your Halo history is. So, Keat, why don't you go ahead and start off? Since I introduced you first.
Okay. Halo. The first time I popped in Halo CE, is that what we're talking about here? Because
whenever you started to like play Halo or get interested in Halo, when
I thought that was your piece. The Halo.
Yes.
Good.
Halo.
Nice. Alrighty, move on.
Halo, yeah, Halo.
Halo. What it means to me. Brought to you by. I'm so bad at this. I've been actually like every time like this comes up as far as like, so where were you when you first played Halo and all the I'm so bad at telling that story because it's not exciting. There's nothing special about it. I bought an Xbox. My wife went away for the weekend. I was bored. I bought an Xbox. I used to game all the time way before that, but there was a void of not gaming because right after college and all that stuff and during college. And then I had Nintendos and stuff like that, but I bought an Xbox, and the only thing I could buy really that intrigued me was Halo. Played the entire weekend, and that was it. Now, and I'm history, and I'm done. And I'm not quitting in Halo anytime soon, and that's it. I really don't have any interesting story. I've been playing ever since.
All right.
It was awesome. It was as a console game, I never liked playing on the PC, and I recognize it as a PC looking game, playing it. But I think I never liked playing first person shooters on the PC, and then when I grabbed the Xbox and played it on a controller, I was like, all right, now I can do this. I'll play this. I won't. I never liked playing on the PC, and on the console, first-person shooters, and that's it. And ever since then, it's been my weapon of choice.
Sounds pretty good.
That's it.
It's
very
somewhat
boring.
interesting.
It's boring.
I was
I
was on the edge of my seat.
it's real.
I was presenting it in a way, maybe to be edge of your seat, but
You gotta add like
it really wasn't.
exciting things like fire and helicopters.
Was Apocalypse?
Yeah.
Okay. The only thing there could have been something going on outside my apartment, but I had no idea because I was playing.
Did you guys just hear that?
Yes.
Okay.
That sounded like the apocalypse.
That was lightning. That was lightning. All right. I mean, everyone has their stories, so I mean, some people are going to have interesting ones. Some people are going to have not so interesting ones. I know mine's one of those not so interesting ones. So, I guess I'll go ahead and do mine since we're on that topic already. For me, I got introduced to Halo with one of my friends during middle school, middle school, and he had Xbox and he had Halo 2. So I hadn't really heard much about Halo until he had it one day. I went over and we played it for a bit, and it was interesting. And I've heard people talk about it at school before. So unfortunately, my parents were the type where they were not really interested in getting us video games as kids. So there was that whole thing where whenever I wanted to go play, I had to go over to my friend's house, and whenever I went over there, we usually didn't game too much. So it was.
You've got mail.
I have mail,
Yeah.
really?
What?
But so I guess my personal entry into Halo was getting Halo CE for the PC, and I actually got a laptop for my 18th birthday to kind of go into college. So I actually had bought the game about 6 months before then, and then when I got my laptop, I installed Halo on there, and I would play it every night before bed. So that's kind of my entry into Halo. And then Halo on the Xbox was I bought myself an Xbox 360 for Christmas in 2007. I bought Halo 3, and that's when I started to play on the console. And back then I sucked. So it was pretty bad. But that's kind of where I got my start in Halo. So we have a late joinee, Psycho Vandal.
Hi.
Welcome.
The one and only.
I'm the one with the mail. I'm sorry.
It was actually
so you have mail.
Was it at least interesting, man?
I don't know. I was actually trying to find out how to get into my.
Did it have fire and helicopters?
Wait, what?
Just interesting thing.
Well, who was the mail for?
That was me. I was actually I was trying to get into my Ustream account, and I had loaded up AOL like 5 minutes ago.
Uh-huh.
And then I guess after I got the conference call, and then it decided to load then, and then it surprised the heck out of me too.
Ah, I see.
So again, I apologize for
Weird.
that.
I see. It's cool. It's cool.
More stories to tell. That's all.
That's perfectly cool. So why don't you give us your Halo story then?
Okay.
Just
I think I just came in the middle of this, and I don't know what's going on.
Basically, just kind of talk about how you got started into Halo, what piqued your interest, and that kind of thing.
You're just a bunch of noises over there.
Who did that? Ugh, Green Skull.
What did you?
I'm a troll.
Okay. How I got into Halo. I don't know. I grew up playing stuff like GoldenEye and Perfect Dark. So when a buddy of mine, we were always playing games together. So found out that a Halo was going to be a co-op campaign. We were all for it. So I think I got into Halo a little late. I didn't have the Xbox right away, so I bought the bundle with Halo in it. Really late into the party, like a couple months after everybody else has already been into it and playing it and showed me what it was like and whatnot. Never did the multiplayer part. I think we played the campaign over and over and over again. After that, I was just hooked and never stopped playing it.
Sounds familiar.
Quite familiar. All right. Very, very nice. And then I guess let's go ahead and move on to Green Skull. Why don't you give us your story?
I was relatively blessed in terms of my gaming life. I was always I was a big PC gamer when I was like really young, like literally 2 years old. For like I have photo proof of me playing some like crazy puzzle game on the computer when I was like 2 or 3 or something. So, my parents have always encouraged it, so I've always been lucky with that. My first console was an N64, and I was a big fan of Perfect Dark on there. So I was relatively, I was always into first-person shooters like Half-Life on the PC and stuff, and Perfect Dark was my big console shooter. And not too long after Xbox came out, it was Xbox One, it was Christmas, and, I asked for that for Christmas, or it was my birthday. I think it was for my birthday. I asked for an Xbox, and the only game I saw, I think I only saw like one screenshot and like a little write-up as to what Halo was. And I'm like, you know what, that sounds semi-interesting. I'll go with that as the game I want to get with this new console. So by chance, Halo was, my first game I got, and, first thing I pop in, play this game, and like, holy crap, it's being a big first-person shooter fan, it was really everything I'd ever hoped for in a console shooter, especially. So
hopes and dreams were fulfilled.
Yeah, it was a special time, and I remember, just played the crap out of it, logged so many multiplayer hours, like to do glitches and stuff, and it's just, it was good times all around. So still a fan. Won't see that going away anytime soon.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Alrighty. We also have another late edition that I'm going to introduce real quick. Well, Chris. Wow. Real quick. His name is Chris. He is CM Near from Halo Reach Tricks. Hello, Chris.
How's everyone going?
Going pretty well. You actually going to talk this time?
Yes, that is the plan.
All right. We'll be expecting to hear from you then. So we've been talking about how... Oh, first I'm echoing. So you might want to fix that. But we were talking about everyone's start into Halo. So what got you started into Halo? I know we've heard this story before, but for those who haven't heard, why don't you go ahead and give us a scoop on what got you interested into Halo? Chris?
It's happened a long time ago, so it's kind of hard to remember exactly. But I remember getting the original Xbox, I think, for Christmas, and I think one of the first games I got with it was Halo, and that was part of the Christmas present. So I don't even know if I knew about Halo before I got it for Christmas or what happened. But after that, I just couldn't stop playing it, and I would invite friends over, do sleepovers. That was the 11-year-old thing to do. And play Halo all night with multiplayer.
That's funny.
And that lasted until I was 21, which is now. Still doing the sleepovers. No, not really. Luckily, there was Xbox Live, so when I became a teenager, I could go online and hang out with people, and that's where I met a lot of my friends and basically all of you guys because of that. And yeah. So that's how I kind of got my start with Halo. Was I got it for Christmas and just couldn't stop playing it. It was that fun of a game.
Alrighty. Let's move on to final postmortem. Why don't you give us a scoop on your Halo story?
Well, I wasn't really a big gamer because my parents didn't agree with it, and there were too many violent games and all that stuff.
Hey, high five.
Yeah. Story. On top of that, I had a younger sister who liked to sit around and watch the games that I played.
Oh.
So I was stuck with the GameCube and all these kid-friendly games, and then after many requests...
Super Smash Bros. Is pretty cool, though.
We did... we also had a hand-me-down PlayStation. We did Spyro the Dragon a lot, so that was another of those games. But I think the first mature game I played was actually Prince of Persia on GameCube. And then my friends in junior high kept on talking about this game called Halo 2 that was coming out. And they're like, Halo's so cool. Halo's the best game. I hadn't heard anything about it. Other than that, it was apparently a great game. But I knew I wanted to check it out, so I convinced my parents to get me an Xbox for Christmas, and I got the book trilogy and Halo 1 and 2. And that morning, I just went downstairs and loaded up the first campaign and played through it, and I think I went through it in 2 days, and then jumped right into Halo 2. And then me and my friends started doing our own LAN parties, and that was when it really got cemented as a big part of my life, because it really brought us all together and united us in this huge gaming social experience. So, and then I didn't really get into the story that much until Halo 3 when I found out about a site called Ascendant Justice. And then once I read all those articles, or the ones that they had up at the time, I was hooked. I knew that I wanted to delve into that universe as well.
Okay, finally, the last person that we have currently here, and for the people that will come in later, we'll get to them as they come in. But Sickened Ahead, why don't you go ahead and give us your story?
Okay, so like I was saying in the chat, you guys are making me feel really old. But so I guess if I do the math, I was like 22 when Halo came out. I bought the original Xbox at launch, and it was like a bundle. So Halo just happened to come with it. It was not even anything I was interested in at first. It wasn't anything that I was excited about. It just, it was a game that came with all the other games. And when I first got the Xbox, I had a lot of friends coming over, and it was like the only game that I had that was multiplayer. So, it just started off with us kind of being like, what's this game all about? And us playing and joking around. But then it turned into something where like people were constantly coming over to play Halo. And so for me, it's always been, more of a multiplayer thing than about the campaign. And I'm sad to say that till this day, I've never played through the Halo 1 campaign. I've never played through the Halo 2 campaign.
Oh. Some people are screaming over here.
Yeah,
We're about to get shunned.
So why are you this podcast again?
Oh, be nice. Be nice.
But I mean, Psycho Man. I guess when Halo 3 came out, Psycho Mandel came over with the disc that had all the cutscenes on it. So we sat and watched through all of that.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
Keep in mind, I suffer from simulation sickness, so it's kind of like I had to take Dramamine to get through Halo 3.
Wow.
Okay.
That's not good for a first-person game.
Yeah, probably not.
Did you play Mirror's Edge?
No.
Oh dear.
I haven't played Mirror's Edge. I don't know what you're talking about.
I love Mirror's Edge. So good.
I've actually met one other person recently that said they suffer from simulation sickness and that Halo was the only game they could play.
What?
Yeah.
Was that me? Wasn't it me that said that?
No. I mean, like within the last week. It was somebody that I met at the MLG.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I think it's because like Halo's kind of slower than other games.
Depends on how you play it too.
Well, it's definitely slower than like Call of Duty.
Right.
Oh.
So what exactly is simulation sickness? Because I haven't heard of that actually before.
Okay, you've heard of motion sickness, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, a normal person is usually stationary. They're walking around. There's not that much movement. You get into an attraction, a car, even sometimes some people suffer from that, just from having a little bit more extra movement. Simulation sickness is like the opposite. You're sitting and you're looking at a screen, something else that's moving, and it kind of messes you up.
Your brain is interpreting movement, but your body isn't. So I think it has
okay.
it's like the liquid in your ear. It's like
Okay, no, that makes sense.
Vertigo.
This was built upon our founder's original vision.
What is
The best
that?
handcrafted
Why is there a
mattress
commercial
right
playing?
here in Southern California.
I don't know, but I hear it.
That vision
You
has
can close that window and still have the chat up.
announcing our silver anniversary.
Or just mute the audio, can't you?
limited
You can't
time.
do it during the ads.
Oh. Firefox for the win.
Yeah, I actually have like the opposite of what you described. Like if I play too many games that are fast paced, looking around all the time, my like inner ear will get used to seeing things moving without feeling things moving. And then when I go out and do some sort of activity that requires looking around a lot, I get sick easier that way because my mind's used to not moving and still being able to look. It's kind of weird.
Wow, that's crazy.
That is kind of weird.
I've noticed some issues before with like Guitar Hero or Rock Band. Like I sit there and play that game for hours and hours, and when I stop playing, like everything is wavy and moving,
Guitar Hero.
all trippy.
Guitar
and
Hero vision.
Or you see like notes dropping down like on the wall or something. Like, oh my god, I hit it! I gotta hit it!
No,
Well,
That happened.
I don't think I'm actually tripping, but you turn it off, you start watching a movie or something,
That gives
and
a
then
good
the
definition to-
screen, the TV is all wobbly and
No, it's when the worst is when you're playing and someone pauses during it, and then everything just goes whoa, and like
Yeah,
Move
I've
backwards.
had that happen before. Yeah. I guess that gives a new definition to tripping the riff. Because you have the riff of the guitar. Haha.
That's
Alrighty.
good.
So I guess the Modcast guys aren't done yet. I thought they would be done by now, but oh well. We will move on.
Is there
So
to how many people could be in the room at once?
25.
Oh wow.
We got plenty of room. So our last podcast we had 14 people in it.
And it didn't degrade the quality at all?
No.
That's crazy.
That's the beauty of Skype. So we're going to go ahead and jump into the campaign stuff and talk a little bit about our experiences with that. And who here hasn't played Halo 1? I guess you sticking ahead. You said you hadn't. Who hasn't played Halo 1 yet other than her?
That's a good sign.
I guess that is a good sign. I guess that means that everyone else has played. So I guess there's a little bit of spoiler territory for you. Sticking ahead, maybe?
Well, I saw all the cutscenes.
Okay. You see?
They were
Okay.
good on
Yeah,
there.
you should be caught up.
I know the story. I just didn't play through it myself.
All right. Okay. I guess that's pretty good considering you get most of the storyline through that. So nothing to worry about. Plus, it's really not spoilers when the game's 10 years old.
Yeah. You don't get the experience of wandering through the swamp for hours.
Oh.
Oh god. Or the library.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the library.
Everybody hates the library.
That was scary for me as a kid.
Yeah.
And the music did not help at all.
A lot of people rip on the library for being such a bad level, but I really liked it. I thought it like captured the emotions of that moment of that time perfectly.
Oh yeah.
There were some really key points in Halo, which I don't even know if the other Halo games have really nailed in terms of, wow, that's a big change. I mean, one of them was definitely the Flood, when you met the Flood for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And then the library was, I mean, even though it was right afterwards, it was still kind of a big shell shocker in terms of the game. And
Yeah, you went from exclusively fighting the Covenant to exclusively fighting the Flood.
It was just the storyline for Halo CE. I think is still one of the best out of the Halo series. I don't know what do you guys think about the story overall for the first game?
I think Halo 3 has the best story, in my own personal opinion. But I think Halo 1 captures the emotions behind the story better than any other game did.
Agreed.
There's just something about how in Halo 1 the storytelling mechanism was just spot on. And it was weird because that was the launch title for Xbox. I mean, I think you can almost attribute the complete success of Xbox to Halo in that respect. I mean, because what other games did we have on there at the time? We had Perfect Dark.
Wait.
What else?
Oh yeah, Perfect Dark Zero.
Perfect Dark Zero.
We're talking about Xbox One or 360?
Xbox One.
Perfect Dark Zero was 360.
Yeah.
No,
that's what I was gonna say. Wait a minute, there was no Perfect Dark back then.
What were the games?
There was Project Gotham Racing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Halo.
Was Fusion Frenzy one of those that came out then?
Fusion Frenzy was pretty early.
Fusion Frenzy, I remember that game.
Oh, I love that game.
Didn't that come with the Xbox
wasn't there
or something like that?
Wasn't there like 8 or 9 like classic launch titles or something like that?
Oh, every time I think of one, it's a 360.
Well, I mean, we are looking 10 years back. What were those? I hear a train in the background.
Yeah, who's got a train near him?
Yeah, I'm rolling really hard right now on my train across the countryside.
Well, I have thunder in the background, so. Yeah. I don't know why. We're talking about Halo. Xbox, there it is, Microsoft Xbox. Dead or Alive 3, Project Gotham Racing, Fusion Frenzy,
Ninja Gaiden.
Dead or Alive 3 was the one I was thinking of. Yeah, there's a wiki article on it, and I'll go ahead and post this in the chat. So.
Oh man, Jet Set Radio Future.
Oh, such a good game.
So yeah, but I mean the one game that everyone remembers for the Xbox pretty much is Halo.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
I don't know. I had Top Spin that came free with my Xbox. That was a pretty enticing game.
All right. Fair enough. We'll let you be the minority in that population.
Yeah, it wasn't really at all.
So let's go ahead and talk about everyone's most memorable part of the campaign. I know, like, Library and the Flood are going to be some people's, but if there's something else that's kind of significant, why don't you go ahead and bring that up and we'll talk about it. If anyone wants to throw one out there.
I'll go ahead and say my big one is without a doubt the Maw. Last level. Not only was that hell of a hard time. I remember my first playthrough. I struggled with that part in general. I was fighting off all that flood and but just the and Warthog Run. That's still one of the most iconic scenes in any Halo game.
Oh yeah.
That last Warthog Run, just so awesome. I'm pretty sure my first time I didn't even make it. So I think I got really close and I screwed up and I lost. So it was like, are you kidding me? Like, I did all that and I miss it. So, like, adding that onto it, the fact that I actually did fail and it wasn't just holding my hand through it, having to go redo it again. The second or third time that when I finally completed it, it was like, oh, like, holy crap, I actually did it. And I remember being so excited and, so the Maz absolutely. I hear a lot of people say, it's when you first land on Halo and you see all the craziness, like how of the world.
Right.
Oh yeah.
People say that's their favorite, but no, not for me. I mean, that's, I don't know. Maybe I just didn't. I don't know. I never really considered that as one of the main memorable moments for me. Is pretty much all the other levels are the big ones, but not the earlier levels.
Well, when Halo CE was dropped and they showed you a lot of the trailer footage and all that type of stuff like that, it's like you say your favorite, but the most memorable is the Flawless Cowboy. You look out and you see how extensive everything is, and you see how much land you have to cover just to start, and it's like, holy crap. So that's when I definitely have like favorite other parts in the game that I hold that are my favorite parts, but nothing stands out more to me than when he comes out of that drop pod and looks out and it's like, oh crap.
Yeah.
And then the first time you see the Covenant and, just everything breaks loose right there. It's like, oh, crap. No, let's go. Let's do this.
Yeah.
That's most memorable for me.
All right.
So the thing about the first Halo game in terms of memorable levels is like, I can't really pick one because every single level was so memorable in a different way. Like each one stood out for its own unique gameplay style. I think that was mentioned in one of the last podcasts by someone, how each level is broken up based on how you're not supposed to, but how the main style of playing is. So like, I was really impressed by just that first moment where the cryo tube opens up and it's in first person and you can look down and see your body there, and it just puts you in that moment so much. Like you almost feel like, because you can't move, you almost feel like you're still being thawed out and like you actually just came out of cryo. And that's one of the things about Halo that I love, is how immersive it is. So that was a huge part for me. But then every single level after that, like obviously like landing on Halo for the first time and walking out onto the surface, it's impressive. Like no one can deny that was an impressive moment. But then also Truth and Reconciliation, where suddenly it's not run and gun anymore. You have to be stealthy and you have to creep around the enemies and take the best shots and think tactically. And then, of course, 343 Guilty Spark, where suddenly all of the enemies have disappeared in the swamp and there's only a few clusters. The emotions change, and it's just the way the Halo campaign goes through all these different emotions and just plays with the player's head like that. That's what I love about it.
Yeah. One of the most memorable in terms of like action packed for me was the assault on the control room and then the two betrayals level, because you just
was my favorite.
You just had to wind through so much canyon, and you got to like you meet up with Marines and got to blow up a bunch of Covenant that way. I mean, I think those were probably some of the more action packed levels, and actually infiltrating into the control room and then going back out with the two betrayals, that I found that kind of interesting. So from an action packed standpoint, I think those were probably some pretty significant levels.
Yeah, Assault on the Control Room was my favorite level. I used to play that all the time. You got to use like almost every single vehicle and weapon. And
it's long too.
Yeah, and it's just battle after battle after battle, and you just go through all these different areas.
I mean, Halo 2 definitely has some long levels, but for Halo 3 Reach and some other games, I don't remember a campaign level ever being this long.
Yeah.
And it was actually somewhat engaging. It actually kept you in there. which was the interesting part.
And it was so much fun. I just had to keep doing it over and over again. It was the level I played the most, besides the last level because of the Warthog. But
yeah,
that was always my favorite.
I don't know. The Warthog run, I mean, it was cool and all, but for some reason I didn't find it like too difficult or too action packed, even like on Legendary.
As long as you mean?
Huh?
The one for Halo Reach?
No, for CE.
I thought that one was a bit more difficult than Halo Reach's, at least from what I remember.
Yeah.
Or maybe I haven't played the original's last level in so long that Reach just felt easy, and maybe CE will feel easy now.
Well, I'm not saying that the CE...
I'm dying a lot from like needle shots and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that it was necessarily easier than Reach, but I didn't really find it difficult.
What I don't like about Reach is that the mongoose flips so easily.
Yeah, that thing bounces.
Well, and then it lands upright so easily too, which is really weird.
Not my first run through.
Aw. I mean the Halo 3 Warthog run was probably the more difficult one because you actually had stuff falling beneath you.
Yeah, and then the carrier forms would actually flip your Warthog and the infection.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't fun at all.
Those were annoying.
Because I remember in CE you could just plow right through the infection or the carrier forms.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to do that in the third game and flipped end over end.
It's like you hit them there like a mine just waiting to go off.
Bungie had the last laugh after all.
Ha 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 ha. But yeah, I found the stuff like doing this or overloading the reactors a little bit more challenging because you had the flood in there and then you had the sentinels trying to shoot you off. So I found that a little bit more challenging.
Yeah, and then no shields.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that. That was the hardest part for me on Legendary, I think.
But yeah, so definitely lots of memorable moments in Halo CE.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everyone can agree that the flood encounter on 343 Guilty Spark was a big head turner.
Yeah.
And then seeing Keys turn into flood, that was, I don't know,
Heartbreaking, man.
Yeah, I'm still not sure how to feel about that level. That's like the only level that seems, or it's the level that seems probably the least significant out of all the levels on the game.
Really?
Or is that just me?
I think it's pretty significant because, well,
I mean, in comparison to the rest of the levels, it is a significant part of the game, but compared to the rest of the levels, it doesn't seem.
I guess it's more. I just look at every single game I play as an emotional experience more than anything else. So the point of that level was to really it really hit home how terrible the flood was when you see this. The person who you look up to as a leader, I guess, the captain of Pillar of Autumn. And he, I never expected that to happen. Like, I knew something bad was happening to him from the radio transmissions as you go through the level, but as soon as Chief walked into the bridge of the ship and you saw him, absorbed into that flood form, it really kind of messed with your head, like a lot of the story-based stuff in the first game.
Yeah, the last thing you expect when you hear on 343, the radio calls and stuff, and you go into this empty place with weird stains everywhere. The last thing you expect is crazy zombie stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I agree with that for sure. It's whoa, definitely flipped it around a bit.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those. So I guess it's more of an emotional thing rather than a game changer.
Yeah. That's
I guess is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Because I mean, in terms of story, like the 343 Guilty Spark where you meet the Flood, that was pretty much a game changer for the game, and then everything else was kind of like ooh and ah for the first few levels.
Mm-hmm.
And it was interesting because, I mean, you had a completely different environment to start with Pillar of Autumn, then you moved to Halo, then you moved to a Covenant ship, and then you're back on. Like it's interesting to see that all these environments are changing from level to level. Because I know with some of the later games, the environments are very similar.
Yeah.
Like for Halo 3, you have the first 4 that are on Earth.
Yeah.
Then you have the next 3 that are on the Ark. Then you have one that's on High Charity, and then one that's on Halo. And here, you're basically changing almost completely from level to level to level. Or at least it in my opinion, is kind of giving a feel of that.
Yeah, that's probably a big part of what makes the original game so great.
So, I don't know. That was one interesting thing about it, in my opinion. Any other thoughts on Halo CE before we get into Halo 2?
Well, I have a question. Did anyone else read the book before playing the game?
I did not.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, the books came after the game, right?
No, the Fall of Reach came out like October, didn't it? I don't really remember.
I think they all came out after the game.
Really?
I want to say they all came after
Sure.
the game.
I thought I looked that up. And
Wikipedia. That's
Yeah.
reliable
pulling
site.
For a few things, yeah.
Fall of Reach.
Release date.
October 30th, 2001. When did the game come out?
November 15th.
15th.
So it did come out before the game.
Really?
Wow.
I did not know that. I was sure they all came out after the game. Well then.
That's an
Yeah,
interesting move.
That is interesting.
I never knew that.
Well, I played the game. I just didn't play through campaign. So I read the book before watching all the cutscenes for Halo 1.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to the audiobook 2 years ago. That's pretty close to the release date.
2 years ago.
For the anniversary. If we count.
for the anniversary edition.
I really enjoyed the book when I read it or listened to it being read to me in a soothing voice. It was a really good book. I was really surprised. It makes me like the Master Chief even more. Maybe a little bit too much, but nonetheless.
So Stick in the Head, did that change like your perception of the story at all?
It helped me better understand it. It gave it a really good backstory, and everything kind of made sense again. And I think it was a better story than a lot of the games were. Even Halo Reach, I think the story in the book came across better than what was in the game. At least that's my opinion.
But did it change like how you looked at the game when you first played it?
Yes, it did, but I don't know how to describe it. But it did. It's been a while since I listened to the book and played the first game, but it did.
It definitely gives a lot more character to the Master Chief.
Yeah, it really helped me understand his character and why he did things and why he would do this and that in the games or what have you. Because you never really know the Master Chief in the games, but you really get to know him in the Fall of Reach.
I think it helped me understand Cortana a little better.
Oh yeah, that too.
And the relationship between the two.
Yeah, because I thought she was kind
yeah.
of at first.
Well,
Yeah,
look who she's based off of. Look at Halsey. And Halsey is
And it all made sense after finding all that out.
Yeah. I mean, Halsey is kind of a bitch. Just look at Reach.
Well, depends on how you look at it.
Yeah. But another thing was, and I know a lot of the people that read the books don't particularly like the Flood, even though it takes place during and around Halo 1, but it does help. It helps get email? Is that what it does?
I don't even know what that was.
That was a new email for AOL.
No, it doesn't sound like that.
Yeah, it does.
No, it's like, you've got mail.
No, that's whenever you log on.
That's
when you log on.
When you leave it there, it'll make that noise whenever something new pops in.
Are you guys fucking serious?
Yeah.
No, we're lying to you.
AOL open. All right, I'm closing that.
This podcast brought to you by AOL. Ding. But for the Flood book, it's nice to see some of that because it gives the chief extra dialogue, which gives him a little bit more character, and it's nice to see some of the other stuff that the Marines are doing on Halo.
Yeah, it shows what the outbreak of the Flood, like how that was affecting everyone else other than the chief.
Right.
And my favorite part is that it really gives you a perspective not only on the Marines who are fighting the Flood, but one of the Marines who was actually in the Flood.
Yeah.
I thought that was awesome.
I haven't had a chance to read the other books. Are they
Talking about
equally as good as The Fall of Reach?
Better?
Would you say
Dude,
they're
no.
better?
Yeah, much better.
Really?
Yeah.
If
all
you
the-
enjoyed
all the
Fall
books-
of Reach, I would strongly suggest you finish up with the rest of the books.
Fall of Reach.
I would
is only
say all
one-
the Eric Nyland
like,
books are definitely good.
I'm not a book for myself though, but Fall of Reach, it was like for me to get into a book, it's a rare thing. But Fall of Reach was the only Halo book so far I've read that like I just couldn't stop reading.
Did you pick up any of the other ones since?
I've read through a few of them. I don't think I've really finished that many. I think I usually get like halfway through and then I give up and never do them. My current one I'm reading though is Evolutions, which I really like.
That's a good one
Evolutions
for
is
reading
fun.
through in bits and pieces.
Yeah. So it's good for my book ADD because I can read a story and be like, all right, I'll read the next one next month or something. I'm doing Evolutions and Cryptum right now.
I haven't picked.
Both are pretty good.
We have Cryptum?
I do. I got Cryptum at PAX.
I said,
Love Cryptum.
are you with me?
Am I who? What?
I said, we have Cryptum.
Do we have Cryptum? Is that what you're asking?
Do you have Cryptum? What did you say?
Yeah, we have Cryptum.
Okay, I haven't read that one yet. Then, but as far as going from one person to the other, like from each author, Eric Nyland is definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
you can't like push the other ones aside because not only are they giving you a different perspective on other squads and other areas of the universe, it's also refreshing to read a book and written in a different way.
Right.
Yeah. I still
If you go
think
from one book to the other and it's all written by Eric Nyland, then you're gonna be like, ugh, this all sounds the same.
Why can't the games be as interesting as in terms of being sucked into the story?
I
Or
think
is that
it's because the storytelling has to be done in such a different way for a video game compared to a book.
that is true.
Well, the amount of detail.
Yeah, because I mean, if you were to put that much detail, there'd be so much more cutscene content than actual action content.
Yeah.
I think.
I like the cutscene content.
Yeah, I want a Halo game to come out that all the cutscenes are just fucking badass. Like I want every.
So you want a playable movie? That's what you want.
Exactly. That's what I want.
Should he go left or right? Right. Oh no, you died. Start from the beginning. Yeah. No, I mean I just want some more epic. Like for example, that one. Which I think we talked about it before. That one cutscene in Halo Wars. That was just so awesome.
You're not talking about Monster, are you?
Yeah.
What?
With the Spartans killing all the honor guard.
Spartans kill the leader, whatever.
I'm confused. What cutscene you were talking about?
In Halo Wars, where it's like the Spartans, like 3 Spartans or whatever, and they're just fucking badass.
Yeah, monsters.
Yeah.
They're too badass for one screen to handle.
They were kicking some serious Covenant butt right there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as far as the books are concerned, I think The Flood was just kind of a fluke because it was written on the same storyline as the game. And, I mean, a lot of people, or at least I've heard the argument where the writing isn't necessarily as good. But I think one is just a different writing style. And two, since a lot of people probably played the game before reading the book, it kind of maybe didn't feel quite right.
Yeah. See, The Flood's one of my favorite books. I put it over The Fall of Reach and First Strike, even Ghosts of Onyx.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
You're probably a first and only in that regard.
Yeah, I fit that category in many things.
Once Rook and Jeff get in here, we'll have to see what their opinion on that is.
Eric Nyland wrote Halsey's Journal, right?
I believe so, yes.
Because I think that if that's the case, I think that's his best writing.
I actually haven't read it yet.
Oh,
I read like half of it.
I need to. I need to. That's
yeah.
well. I need to finish the Ghost of Onyx too. I'm still stuck on that.
There's just a lot of great, links to other aspects of the Halo universe, and then getting to hear Halsey, her actual thoughts on everything that she's doing. That's amazing. Like when she describes watching her flash grown clones growing in these pods, and just describing like her horror at seeing herself being grown in order to, create Cortana. Like there's just so much emotion put into that journal. I love it so much.
I
want someone to give me their brain so I can just like tolerate reading. Like I want Halo's the only thing I can be like, I can force myself to, all right, I gotta read this. This is Halo. I like it.
Yeah, it's a shame you don't like reading. I grew up reading. Like that's.
See, I'm similar to Green Skull, where it's like, well, I mean, audiobooks just don't do it either.
Oh, it did it for me, man. It like, oh yeah. Oh,
no, because
oh,
I mean, if I'm listening to something like I zone out to podcasts all the time.
Yeah, me too.
And for podcasts and stuff, I listen to it and I might retain what happened in it for like 3 days. And then, the next podcast comes out and like, oh, like I don't even remember half the stuff that happens on the previous Podtacular episode. How am I supposed to remember stuff from an audiobook?
Well, all you need to know is that Reach fell. That's what it's in the title.
Come on.
You can remember that. I mean, if you forget, you just go back to the title of the book and you remember.
But I want to remember more of the detail behind the story.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Chris, if that's all you get is from the title of the book, then you don't learn what happens to Jenkins, what happens to some of the other squad members and Gray Team, all that stuff.
And the choice of.
Well, I do remember because I listened to the book, and when I look at the title, it reminds me. Oh, that's right. That happened.
I mean, one of the significant things that I remember from the books was the kids playing King of the Hill, and then the choice that Chief had on the 2 different files on Johnson of whether or not that he should live or die from being immune to the flood or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the 2 probably most significant things from the books that I've held on to so far.
That's funny. For me, the significant things that I hold on to are probably like the smallest details in the book. Like just things that make you wonder, what are they talking about? What deeper part of the universe might this be, alluding to?
Well, I mean, for me, it's just like it was 7 or 8 years ago since I've read this book, so I just need to go back and reread it. Because I have a little bit more appreciation for reading now than I did back in junior high.
Mine honestly hasn't changed at all. Like I probably blame the fact that I was raised on video games. Like from before I could even speak, I was gaming. So it's like I'm born into this. I need visual and active control stimulation. Like I can't just read words.
Because I'll remember a movie, but it's only been recently where I've actually gotten engaged in books and can remember contents of books. So.
Well, I remember reading the book, and I think the part that like kind of blew me away the most was just about what they did to the children, them kidnapping the children, and everything they did to them, because that doesn't they don't tell that in the game. So it was just like, holy crap, and it just made me realize that there was so much story behind the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
How cool would it be to play as a young Master Chief?
Going through training?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Or any Spartan, really. Just
even it's just like a flashback or something. Like just a brief, like, get to play that just a little bit. That would be so cool.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
Or even you could start out playing King of the Hill.
Yeah, King of the Hill. Who said that?
I think one of the fun areas to go back and relive would be when he took out Mendez's troops in the forest.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Wow. I guess another part I remember is when they whenever they were doing the training, and they dimmed the lights, and 5 seconds later they brought the lights up, and all the Marines were I don't know, bones were broken and everything.
Yeah,
the Spartans were in and out in 5 seconds or something.
They had the Mark I exoskeletons.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, that part. I'm like, dang, those guys are dangerous. It's like you do not want to mess with these people.
Yeah, but, you're also talking about 12-year-old kids that took out an entire freaking platoon of soldiers.
You couldn't do that at the age of 12? You're just weak, man.
Oh gosh. But something like that is just kind of it enriches the story of Halo, basically.
Type.
Oops, sorry.
Okay, so should we move on to Halo 2? Yes? No? I think that's a yes. So Halo 2, probably, at least for me, one of the more frustrating campaigns of the Halo series.
Oh my god, yes.
I think most everyone can agree here.
Halo 3?
Halo 2.
Oh, frustrating in which sense?
Yeah, what makes you say that?
The rings.
Makes you want to break your controller in 3 pieces. That kind of frustrating.
But in terms of story or in terms of gameplay? How are we getting at?
That's not what I'm.
No, probably just gameplay. The story.
There's a few angering parts. Like the first level on Legendary, why was the first one the hardest? What the hell?
That's what I was thinking.
I mean, I don't know, if there's something about the story in Halo 2 that, I don't know, I can't put my finger on it. I mean, I like the fact that it was going back and forth between.
It wasn't a complete story, it was a cliffhanger. And I mean, what Halo 2 brought to the table was multiplayer, and that's what I played Halo 2 for all the time. It had, like, the best multiplayer, online multiplayer.
Yeah.
I think that Halo 2 brought a lot to the story, in all honesty.
Yeah, I prefer 2 over 3. 3 I was relatively disappointed with in terms of the story. I was
like the opening of Halo 2, that juxtaposition between what was going on, the basically humanity like exalting the chief and almost action for action, the Arbiter being, stripped of his rank and being thrown under the bus for something that really honestly wasn't his fault. Like, I mean, that was I really liked that transition, and it carried on throughout the game. Yeah, cliffhanger is a cliffhanger, but I blame that more on time constraints and not bad storytelling.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, welcome to the table, Grim.
Oh, yeah. Anytime.
I was going to get there. We have 3 more people that have joined the show. We have Grim Brother 1.
Yeah.
Who you've heard talking. We have Rukizzle.
Hola.
And we have Sir Ponage.
What's up?
What's up? You guys just came from the Modcast, right?
We did.
How'd it go?
It was a bit derailed, like normal.
It's a lot like a forum thread.
It was fun.
Or an email exchange.
I bet this is probably a little bit more entertaining. And it's live, too, so.
We can't make fun of them anymore now that they're here.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
yeah, you can.
We had a feeling that was going on, too. We were just like, our ears were burning.
That Rickle, I hate his face.
I'm glad it was just your ears burning.
Lol. we also have elusive. We also have elusive eagle.
Hello. Yes, I had to go grab some water. My throat was killing me.
Oh, I have a pitcher sitting on my desk. I have a pitcher of water on my desk. So
elusive
a
eagles
picture of water. That just
handsome.
Yes.
I need my honeycomb.
but no cups.
That's my snacktacular.
Oh. So we actually just got done talking about the Halo 1 campaign and the books around Halo 1. So the Fall of Reach and the Flood. And I wanted to give you guys the opportunity to chime in before we moved on to Halo 2. So we basically asked everyone what was your kind of most memorable moment from Halo CE.
Walking out of the Bumblebee life pod.
Kind of typical.
Yeah, I know it is. It does sound really like super trite and cliche, but there's a reason there are stereotypes. I mean, like it was something that was super, like, you walk out and you're like, oh my god, open world. There's so much ahead. It was this really neat combination of military and mystery that hadn't been seen, at least for me, melded together really well in a game until then. It made you all at once want to run forward as fast as you can and take everyone out. But at the same time, it made you just want to stop and like twiddle some flowers or something, man. Absolutely gorgeous around. And, it's interesting. It's like, man, I want to beat these guys' ass so they'll stop, or just leave me alone so I can look around. Freaking busting through.
Sorry, every time I hear someone say that, and it's everyone says, yeah, that's the mode I like the best. I was talking about this before, that I didn't get that. So, like, I'm wondering if I was too young. I think I was probably too young to appreciate it, because that wasn't a big point for me.
You don't know what beauty is, man.
I did it, man.
He just wanted to go kill things, that's all.
A lot of people say it was because they came from the shooters of the 90s, which were much more claustrophobic, tight quarters.
Oh, yeah.
Well, see, I did too. That's the thing. Is like, again, I grew up on Doom and Duke Nukem and Quake and stuff, so I don't know why I never got that.
But I had never played those, so for me, it probably didn't have as much of an impression as it did on people who had come from that generation of first-person shooters.
Yeah, it was so non-Wolfenstein, it wasn't even funny.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I don't know, for some reason, moments like that, it wasn't just that, but moments like that gave you this sense of story that took a lot of games 15 cutscenes to get across.
Yeah.
You had a lot of games that just are like, there's a story here, we promise, it's in the manual. And meanwhile, like with Halo, it's in the story, it is in front of your face, but there's a lot that is extra there if you want to go and look for it, if you want to go and see it. And I think that for some reason, you can just feel that. I don't know why. I mean, it's kind of like, you can't see wind, but you can feel the effects of it. You know that it's moving. And it was like that. It's like you couldn't necessarily directly put your finger on what was going on with this mystery, but you knew it was there. And you're like, man, this might reveal itself to me even if I try to avoid it. And I think that's a really cool feeling to get from
the emotion behind the music that went along beside you through every step of the way helped with all of that.
Oh yeah, that's another thing that we should probably address is the music at some point. Because the music actually contributed a lot, I think, to the gameplay of Halo.
Absolutely.
I mean, it set the mood. It set the mood for so many things. Like you could have played through the game without music and whatnot, but it wouldn't have been the same experience.
Agreed.
I think without the music, you would have missed a lot of the emotion.
Mm-hmm. I think that was perfected in ODST. I know we'll get there.
Oh, yeah. ODST, in my opinion, and Marty agrees, it has the best soundtrack.
Yeah. It's in my car right now, actually.
Same here.
It's what I've been listening to. I had a conference in Orlando for work, and just on the drive over and back, I was, that's what I was listening to.
Well, I mean, whenever I study, the Halo 3 ODST soundtrack is what I listen to.
Yeah.
Because it's just soothing enough, and it's, I don't know, it's nice.
That's a good idea. I should check this out.
Yeah, I love soundtracks. I have a playlist with all of them and just put it on shuffle.
Yep.
Every day he's
right
shuffling. But yeah, I think the music plays such an integral part in games nowadays, and Halo just kind of hit the nail on the head in terms of being able to hit the emotional portrayal of music to action association. I think Marty just did a wonderful job on that.
Yeah.
It's like I said, like the first game to me is most important for the emotions, and it wouldn't be that without the music.
Yeah, it's going to be weird for Halo 4 too, since it's not Marty anymore, and since Marty was so good at that, how 343 is going to.
But you know what? It's not necessarily. I know this is slightly sacrilege to say it, but it wasn't necessarily like all Marty. I think because the music was so good because of him, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't get that with another composer. I mean, I felt in large part that Mass Effect 2 was made all the more emotionally driven by its music, you know, and so it doesn't mean that it can't happen again. And in some ways, it's going to be kind of neat because, you know, this is going to be almost a foreign type of concept to us as Halo fans as far as the new fiction going forward. And I think it's almost more fitting and better for the story overall that it's going to have a bit of a new voice. And I was going to say something too. Unsung hero on the music department is the technology that goes behind what transitions the music when you are doing something specific. You know, when you listen to the soundtrack, you know, it's not like it is minute for minute what you did. You know, I mean, there are triggers technically in there that move the music along and shift it in these subtle ways depending on what's going on. Maybe you're now approaching enemies, you turn around a certain bend.
Right, and the soundtrack's just that linear change.
Yeah, I almost find that in a way more amazing because you're having to take this epic emotional piece of music and then this awesome gameplay experience and find some way to get them to talk to each other and match and deliver the same emotional punch simultaneously. I mean, that's some sick work right there.
Well, yeah. And that technology that it's in the game that does that is amazing.
Oh yeah,
because I mean, it transitions it
awesome.
Like almost flawlessly.
Mm-hmm. It's got to be far more difficult than scoring a movie.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah, in a movie, you know what happens when.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, very true. Well, and actually, they usually create the movie scores like as they're editing or like after the editing or sometimes, so it's, you know, fairly finalized ish, you know, when they know they're going to be doing stuff. But I was just going to say, I believe the system they use is very layered in its approach, which is amazing. So they can just, you know, layer in different percussion tracks or layer in, you know, some ambient tracks or layer in some of the epic music that we all have come to love, you know, maybe throw in
even
some
just
vocals
environmental
or whatnot,
sound.
So. Right.
Like, you know, with ODST, the fact that it wasn't raining the entire time, but you thought
it actually was.
I'm pretty sure it did.
Yeah, it did.
There weren't actual raindrops.
I went. No, after you said that, said that, I went back to go play it. There's rain.
I don't think
rain.
so. I think they might have like patter on the ground, but that's it.
I thought Marty said there was no rain.
I've heard
I'm
of
they discussed that they put it in because if I remember correctly, I could be wrong. I'm pretty certain that there's rain, but I'm pretty certain that Marty wanted rain really bad because the music was inspired by rain.
Yeah.
And eventually they got it to work.
Huh.
However, I don't think if there's a spot, like for example, that you have to transition between indoors and outdoors a lot, I don't think there's much rain, or I think that when you get to that spot, I think the rain turns off. That way it doesn't have to deal with, like, say, where the rain should be. That way the game doesn't have to think about that.
Yeah. Well, I remember they made a big deal out of it when Reach came out that there were rain effects in there, and I thought that was because it was like...
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking too. I just could be, yeah.
I hate to be a bummer, but I gotta study for a test I got tomorrow.
Boo.
Oh, you crazy kids.
Yeah.
All that school.
I gotta peace out. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming.
It was
good to chat with you.
Yeah, nice chatting.
I swear I'm not leaving because Rakizel and Jeff and everyone came. I swear
yeah, whatever. I love
you. You just wanted to stay to say hi, right?
Yeah.
You're not my friend, buddy.
Aww.
Right.
Aww.
That's Jerome.
In joke.
Peace.
No. Me and Jerome just go to the same tanning bed, remember?
Yep, that's right.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
So Halo 2?
Yeah.
Let's move on to Halo 2. Sorry, I'm looking through my
Did everybody get a chance to chime in on one?
I mean, I was just going to say a couple quick things. In general, I had many instances in Halo 1 that I really enjoyed, and it pretty much, I guess, well, I think you could kind of categorize it as two things. One, more of like a gameplay thrill. So probably an obvious one that comes to mind would be like the final Warthog run.
Yes.
But then there's also those real cinematic and story pieces that also were really amazing. And a couple like cinematics come to mind, even just so obviously Jeff alluded to the exiting the Bumblebee pod, but you also have things like the control room and a lot of the cutscenes around that, or even just the truth and reconciliation level, nighttime and everything. So just there's some really cool instances throughout the game that were just time after time amazing for me to experience. Anyway, that's it. We can move on.
Yeah.
All right.
So
I just looked back through my achievement guides for ODST, and I thought I remember seeing rain on at least one level, but I guess not because I can't find it anymore. I thought there was rain.
It's just the
So
sound
you might have
effect.
to play ODST again.
When we get to ODST, I'll look through here a little bit more detail, and we'll see if there's anything there. But yeah, let's move ahead to Halo 2, since that was probably, I want to say it was the longest Halo game. Does that sound right to just about anyone? Everyone?
It was supposed to be longer. That's for sure.
Yeah, it was supposed to be longer.
It might have been the longest.
I mean, there's 14 levels, right?
Yeah.
You also have to
think
consider
something
how
like that. I
long
mean,
those are.
I think each Halo game pretty much has a cinematic as the first level, or a bunch of them do at least. I'm trying to remember here specifically, but yeah, it did have a bunch of levels, that's for sure.
And some long ones at that.
Because I want to say like 6 of them were the Arbiter, and then 8 of them
Sacred
were
Icon.
the Chief.
Yeah, I know.
Oh gosh. And Delta Halo was long.
What is the longest Halo level? Do we know?
Ooh.
Library.
No, that's not
I don't
long.
think so.
No,
That's
it
not
just
long.
takes us that.
It only felt that way.
Time or size?
What about like
Yeah.
the cut from Halo?
Because
3?
the Covenant. Oh yeah, is that what you just said? The Covenant on Halo 3.
Covenant wasn't that long.
Well, I think the Ark might have been bigger than the
I think
Covenant.
the one that felt longest to me was
I
actually.
mean, Assault on the Control Room was definitely longer than the Covenant or the Ark.
Yeah, that's true.
What about Pillar of Autumn and Reach? That felt longest to me.
Interesting.
It's because it stopped being fun.
It felt long, but I don't think. Yeah, I
I think it's
don't
just the
think
whole
that was that
firefight
long.
portion at the end.
That was because you were playing on Legendary. No.
I was playing on Mythic.
You were
That's
playing
why.
Lasso or something.
Yep.
I want to say it's got to be in Halo 1 or 2. It's definitely not in Halo 3. ODST, no, because that was more like a mini, a condensed game. Anything else? I definitely don't think it's Reach. It has to be somewhere in Halo 1 or Halo 2 that's the longest level, in my opinion.
So what would it be from Halo 2?
It could be Delta Halo. Hang on, I need to get a list of the campaign levels here real quick.
Assault on the Control Room might be one of them too. If you just consider how long it took you to take out a Wraith.
Well, the two Halo CE ones, the Assault on the Control Room, and then the 2 Betrayals. Those are relatively pretty similar in length, since you're basically traversing the same map, except one's like.
Bungie has stated that the Covenant in Halo 3 is the longest level in the whole Halo trilogy, partially because it is the Covenant's last stand against humanity. It's also the only campaign level where people can use Hornets.
Score 1 for Ricari.
What's that source? Where are you getting that from?
The Halopedian, which obviously is, it's not necessarily exact, but.
Did you just look at the Covenant?
Well, if they were citing something that Bungie said, that a little bit more credence.
It took me longer to play Assault on the Control Room than it did in the Covenant. I don't know.
Yeah.
Halo 3 didn't have that same difficulty factor. Or at least it felt that way.
Well, I like that level.
Okay, how about we say in our opinions what we think the longest level that we've played is. I guess because I definitely don't think the Covenant from Halo 3 is the longest level.
Was this longest in the sense of
The longest in the sense of time.
But I mean, is this time like, oh, I died X many times because I was playing on Legendary and this campaign was a bitch to get through, or is this just continuously long. Like if you were able to.
Well, kind of like a mix of things where it's continuously long.
Sacred Icon on Legendary in Halo 2 was an absolute bastard hole. Like that, even just the first encounter and stuff, like was, you know, solo Legendary on that. To me, you know, I also didn't think that the Jackal snipers were as much of a big deal as most people said. So, you know, it could just be kind of maybe play style is suited more to one. His Covenant doesn't seem long to me because of the flight, the vehicle usage in it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that to me is part of it. Like, I mean, the arc in some ways seems more because I think you're more, you know, you're in a tank more than you are in a Hornet. So it just feels slower, feels bigger, and, you know.
I love the arc.
Oh, yeah.
Has anybody ever glitched the Scarabs in the Covenant?
No. I saw your
I
video.
think so I'm trying to. Oh yeah. I think so.
Which one?
Either one. Well, what I did was
there's only
if you hop out of the Warthog, get into the Hornet, and fly out to the Scarab, either one, and destroy it before it finishes the animation of like rearing its head up after landing. It'll do this weird glitch where it jumps through the bottom of the map and sends you flying. Like sometimes you die, sometimes you don't, but if you live, you end up like on top of the map. You can walk around, and there's actually a way to walk through one point in the solid in one of the barriers, and it'll take you back to the Hornet area, but there's no enemies, and you can just walk around.
Oh yeah, I've done that before. Yep.
That's cool.
I actually just did it. I just was wandering around and I randomly figured it out. We were just doing co-op. It was like
doing
3
co-op.
or 4 of us.
My friend did that. He was like, "Look where I am."
It was fun. That's for sure.
It was crazy. I found that glitch on my own the first time.
That's interesting. Back to Halo 2, though. I remember...
Hey, you asked us that question.
No, I know. That was because I was thinking the answer would be in Halo 2. Or Halo 1, since we've already covered that. I mean, I still think Delta Halo or Sacred Icon are probably, in my opinion, 2 of the longer maps. So, I don't know. I guess that's my opinion. Does anyone remember Outskirts, like, trying to shortcut that thing?
Oh, I still do that whenever I get a chance to play. Really, like,
because I just bypass those hunters at the beginning. It's like, I don't want to mess with those.
Yep.
I think it's more fun to shoot down from on top of the buildings.
Because you basically bypass the entire first half of the level. Or you can.
And then you get to the point where you go to the little hotel or whatever, Hotel Zanzibar.
Mm-hmm. And then you drive your Warthog around the beach, and then you get in the tunnels.
Yeah. I kind of just stumbled upon that, too, just, you know, being that guy that would just always want to jump on stuff as chief. And I was like, what? I can get on top of these? Oh, great. How far can I go?
Yeah.
I mean, there's times where I still get lost, but,
yeah, you can get pretty far.
Level.
What about Delta Halo in Halo 2? You take the Ghost up to the top of the mountain?
Huh?
I never did that.
You guys don't know about that?
No.
Well, it's, let me think. Right after you land, right after you come out of the drop pod and clear that first area, you get access to the Warthog, and then you go through that little, right where
the bridge.
The Jackal, no, before the bridge. Right where the Jackal snipers are, looks just like a postcard dialogue.
Uh-huh.
If you grab a Ghost and go back to, like, in between the Jackal snipers and where you start out, you can ramp up the side of, you can ramp up the hill and go through the bushes that are there.
I didn't know that.
There's no barriers at all, and you can go all the way to the top of the mountain that you can see in the distance.
I have been to the top of the mountain, and you will worship me as though I were a god. Sorry, I just had to throw that in there.
No, I
haven't heard
did
that.
so much. I ended up I got like every single vehicle up there at one point. Took a tank up. That took forever.
You took a tank?
Now.
You can just ramp off. Obviously, you die if you fall to.
Hey, Chris, you might need to revisit some Halo 2 tricks.
I can't believe you guys don't know about that.
Yeah.
I thought this was really common knowledge.
No.
Which trick are you talking about?
I thought everybody knew that remakes of levels were named similar, but
hey! Shut your dirty mouth.
oh man! All right, I got another modcast to go to now.
But remember the switches? Does anyone remember
Oh yeah.
the secret switches?
In Halo 2?
Yeah, especially on Delta Halo. There was what was it called?
Wait, what secret switches?
Are you talking about the switches between the Spartan's legs? The one that looks like a little gun?
No, not those switches, but
that's how you turn it on.
What was it called? Like it had a name.
John.
What?
Schlong.
What was it? I'm gonna Google this real quick because this is bothering me. Halo 2 switches.
Switches? I haven't heard of any switches in Halo 2.
No, it was
one. Halo 2 Xbox multiplayer switches off April 15th. Aww.
Ha. So funny.
Oh, such a sad day. Hey, look at the site, podtacular.com. That's what I got when I googled Halo 2 switches.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I think you're making it up.
No, I'm Google Halo 2
it is.
switches.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's the first result. Wow. That's interesting. I didn't... Wow, okay. That's cool. I don't think we're getting any results on, or click-throughs on that result, though.
I miss Halo 2 multiplayer.
It's still the best.
You know that you can't, if you update your Xbox 360, you can't play any of the DLC anymore? They updated it in such a way that the Xbox 360 doesn't recognize original Xbox DLC.
That's horrible. We should get our money back then. I paid for that stuff. I should be able to play it whenever I want.
I don't know.
That's why I like Halo 2 Vista.
But you can't play...
But you don't have Tombstone on Halo 2 Vista.
You don't have Tombstone or, what was the other one?
There's Desolation.
Know. Desolation.
I don't have Tombstone either. I didn't get the last map pack.
See, I did.
I didn't have my copy of Halo 2. Well, actually, I had lost it. And I was trying to get my friend to come over on shutdown day. And I was like, dude, bring your copy of Halo over so I can download this stuff before it goes away forever. And he was like, oh, I probably will, but my roommate wants to play for a little bit. I'm like, no, dude, it's your copy of the game. Just bring it over. Just be like, no, dude, I'll be back in 10 minutes. Didn't do it. So, yeah, he owes me forever.
On my old hard drive, I actually just opened up the hard drive and copied the map packs off of it. And
you can't copy. You can't even copy that old stuff anymore.
Yeah, you can.
Because we actually tried before he sold his Xbox that had that DLC on it.
I copied it.
The option to delete it.
I copied it. Yeah, it's kind of a convoluted way to do it, but you have to download like a.
Did you do it unofficially?
Yes, I did it unofficially.
Okay. Yeah, we were.
I mean, it still works. It's just that for some reason the original the original Xbox DLC is now no longer recognized by Xbox 360, which I think is stupid. But
interesting.
Yeah, and it's the mystery of the gate. That's what it was. Does no one remember that? I'm guessing no one does. Because that seemed to be a big thing back in the day. Because there were like a few switches just scattered around Halo, but they never ended up doing anything.
Was there a video somewhere?
There's plenty of videos all over YouTube. Just search for Mystery of the Gate Halo 2 or Halo 2 Secret Switch. I mean, there's plenty of them. Yeah, that's what it was.
So should we go straight to Halo ODST's story from
I don't think
Halo?
we finished with Halo 2 yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know what we were talking about.
Well, I mentioned the Switch, and I was determined to remember what the what was it? Finally found it too. The what would you guys think of the story overall in terms of progressing the Halo storyline? Because I mean, I know
Halo
there's
2.
a whole hoorah about being a whole cliffhanger of a story.
You know what? The cliffhanger literally made no difference to me. The only thing that sucks about a cliffhanger is that until they complete the story, you don't know the rest of it. Like now, I don't know why they're still bitching about the cliffhanger, because we know the rest of the story.
Yeah.
Now we know that we know what Halo 2 represents and what it brings to the franchise. The cliffhanger is not what it brought to the franchise. The only thing that a cliffhanger was doing was taking the ending of that story away from the franchise until Halo 3 came out. Now, we don't have to worry about it. I mean, Halo, first of all, made the Covenant into something that you either sympathized with and understood a little bit more about, or pissed you off even more. I mean, but no matter what you chose, it made them a more fleshed out and well-rounded character almost in and of itself, as well as, a new cast of characters. I mean, we hadn't seen Prophets until Halo 2 either. We didn't even know what they
Well, we didn't know much about the Covenant.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Except
I
from
mean,
the books.
that's Halo 2 brought that to us. I mean, it also showed us a little more. In all honesty, it showed us a little more of humanity behind the scenes too. I mean, it opens up with with the scene on Cairo Station, and you're seeing humanity in a very slight moment of, not that we're not at war, but just like with our guard down slightly, acting a little more human and celebrating each other, and having a little bit of a moment of triumph there, which was really neat. And so, I mean, the whole thing, Halo 2 in and of itself, just what it introduced and brought to the table, and it was huge to me.
But just remember, Prophets weren't new to Halo 2. In a game, sure, but...
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying was visually. Visually, we had not seen, literally seen the Prophets.
Okay, because I was going to say Red Flag was in Fall of Reach.
Correct, yes. No, I was meaning actually visually with eyeballs see Prophets.
Okay.
So, what do you guys think of the idea to portray two sides of the story in a single game? The whole going back and forth between the Arbiter and the Chief.
I thought it was the best thing they could have done.
I enjoyed it.
I don't know.
Okay, I enjoyed seeing the aspect from both sides. I did not at all enjoy playing as the Arbiter.
Yeah. I think it would have been better left as cutscenes to let you just see the story.
But to me, you might as well have had nothing.
It wouldn't have had the same impact if that was the case.
Yeah, you can't really have it in between there. You either have to have the whole story as the Chief and find some other way of, maybe making that story or that side known. I mean, to me, the human side was impacted and made fuller because you were understanding the Covenant side. And I think that playing as the Arbiter and seeing... I mean, think about how much... When we play Halo game, we always talk about how much of the story is even inferred, and how much of the story we experience not through cutscenes, but through the environment, and through the ambient noise, and through the soldier chatter, and through all these other little things. Well, the same goes for the Covenant. You're not going to be able to flesh the Covenant out to what we know them as now if you just, constrict that to a cutscene. That's got to be something, I think, that was felt as the player, and you were hearing the chatter around. You were going through the schism instead of just hearing about it or seeing it go on third party. And I think that it did, even if you, it's kind of like when you look back in your, even at your own life, you're like, man, that was a shitty thing to go through, but I'm a better person now for it. I won't argue that people might not have liked going through it. I mean, that's definitely an opinion thing. No one can say, no, playing as a Covenant was awesome, because it's just how you experienced it. But I do think that it's very tough to argue against the fact that making you play as the Covenant was not better for the story overall and our understanding of the franchise.
Here.
I agree with that.
Well, and I think it was kind of important to
get off my soapbox. I'm sorry about that.
Well, no, I mean, I kind of agree. It definitely seemed to help kind of push the story along and help set the stage for, I mean, Halo 3 and... Yeah, Halo 3, basically. That's the only other game that was after it. I mean, it was...
ODST, maybe.
I don't think it really had that much effect on ODST because we didn't really see we didn't play as an Arbiter until we got to Halo, right?
You mean Halo 2?
No, you mean after we got the Halo?
No,
when we got to Delta Halo.
The actual structure.
Oh.
As in, the first time we played as the Arbiter was after Delta Halo.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't?
No, you play as the Arbiter, and then right after, I think, the first Arbiter level, you go to Delta Halo.
Well, I mean,
I
think the first Arbiter level was the Heretic. That's what he initially sent them to do, was to quell the Heretic uprising.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which was before Delta Halo.
we don't. Okay, but we already made the slip space jump from Earth to Delta Halo. And
it was still the transition time.
Yeah. Okay. So it was the transition, but we already left Earth in Halo 2 before ODST was even, or before the Arbiter thing was even brought up, right?
But then immediately after that, in ODST, you see the brutes taking over.
Okay, so the levels are the Armory, Carter Station, Outskirts, Metropolis, then Arbiter and Oracle, then Delta Halo. So yeah, we don't play as the Arbiter until we leave Earth in Halo 2. So I don't think it really has any influence on ODST at that point, other than the fact that, the Covenant's on Earth.
I guess in a way it's more of a side note.
But, I mean...
I'm just thinking about when Buck sees all the dead elites and asks Veronica what's going on.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, the seeds of that had been being planted anyway.
That's to do more with the feud between the elites and the rest of the Covenant, right? That's not necessarily anything with the Arbiter. Is it? Or am I missing something? Maybe it is. I don't know. There's some people here that know a little bit more about this than I do, I think.
I think at that point, wasn't that supposed to be precisely when the brutes were given power?
When the order came down to start the elites.
And it was like, hey, ape guys, you want to kill the split lips now? Go for it. And so, Tartarus and all his buddies are like, yes, let's do it. And then that's what happens. And then here comes Nathan Fillion. He goes, my God, what's happened? My hair is still fantastic.
That's canon.
Do an entire reading of
every that is canon,
novel, every Halo script, and you must use different voices for each character.
That's kind of weird that Nathan Fillion is basically canon now.
Yeah, he is.
That's kind of weird.
I think it's awesome.
Oh, it's awesome. I'm not saying...
No, it doesn't really matter which character. I don't know if Captain Hammer could fit into Halo, but Castle can be in Halo. Obviously, Captain Malcolm Reynolds can be in Halo, and then obviously we have Buck. I don't know about his soap opera characters. I never watched those.
I did.
Oh.
Yeah, it was.
That?
Who is that? Sick in the head? What?
Uh-oh.
How's it going? I spoke up out of nowhere.
Apparently.
Voice in my head.
For Forsaken Mango in the chat, Nathan Fillion's hair is not canon.net.
Yeah.
There you go, Graham.
He really likes that notcanon.net.
Yep. Well, when did that whole thing start again?
I think I ran my mouth about it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what soap opera he was in, but I know he was like Joey Buchanan.
I didn't know he was
General Hospital?
No, it was One Life to Live.
Oh, One Life. Oh, yeah.
Which is funny, because if you were going to give Firefly a soap opera name, that would be it.
So I guess we haven't hit this yet, but what was your most memorable Oh, shut up!
So mature.
What was your most memorable moment in Halo 2?
When I walked out of the Bumblebee life pod.
Halo 2.
It was so good.
The other Halo
Still
2.
my favorite moment.
Again.
It had to be the ODSTs coming out of that drop pod with the rocket launcher.
On Delta Halo?
Yeah.
Oh, that was great. That was really good.
I think that was it for me.
Actually, you know what was a very cool moment was when they looked and you were seeing the Covenant Civil War kind of happen in a couple of different moments. I actually particularly liked when they showed it actually in space, and you saw their ships turning on each other, and you saw cruisers and carriers and seraphs even flying around, and then also being almost like a third party fly on the wall as you're running through certain levels, and and seeing the brutes versus the elites, and seeing those sick ass honor guard elites and ultras and stuff coming to fight again and everything. So I mean, there are a lot of cool moments, but just that as a whole.
What about the rest of you guys? No one? No, I only heard 2 people, so.
I really can't think of my moment.
I was talking to my wife. What?
Favorite Halo 2 moment?
What about the grave mine? That was a pretty big reveal.
I know what the ladies like. That was my favorite. I don't even have to play it. If Johnson's on TV, that's it. That's all I need, and it's good. As long as he's not dying, which that's why I didn't like Halo 3.
Aww.
Spoiler.
I don't think it's a spoiler when it's been 4 years.
If you don't know, you just need to go back and play Mario or something, where the story doesn't matter.
Google it.
Let me Google that for you.
Google is your friend.
You know what? My favorite moment might have to be when Chief returns the Covenant, their little bomb that they brought on board. I don't know, just getting through that entire level of Halo. Like, you always go, I go through my first campaign on Legendary. So I'm sitting there, I get through the first level, I'm like, man, this is going to be a bitch. I have to go through 8 more levels of this same kind of stuff. And it was just like probably one of the most gratifying moments to know I had made, because Lord knows how many times I had to redo that level, because it was not a joke. Not to mention this was the first time that enemies were, was it the first time enemies were dual wielding? I don't know. I just ran into all sorts of firepower that I wasn't used to. And finally getting through that level and being able to blow up a Covenant cruiser was a great moment.
Well, then, like when you did it on Legendary, there was always the one part where you had to basically noob combo the whole thing. It was right after. It was the second room where the boarding parties were.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that one. Oh, Lord. And then they had the turret on top.
Yeah, the turret's on top, and then the invisible...
So then 2 elites come into the room where you're at, then you have to end up going down the stairs, and there's elites all over the place.
Yeah, there's invisible elites all over the place. It's like, gosh.
Oh, yeah, I hated that room.
Or the room where you go get the shotgun, where you had first recharge your shields.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes you could jump up and grab the shotgun without even going up the stairs.
Wait, seriously?
Just by jumping up to the grates. You could hold X and pick it up.
I thought the shotgun was on the oh, wait, that's right.
It lands differently every time, so it depends on where it lands. But
Interesting. I didn't know that. That I guess that would make things a little bit easier when you go up the stairs. It's like shotgun's gone, then you just shotgun the elites there instead of having to like empty SMGs on them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what my most memorable moment for me was, because there's just lots of little tidbits kind of scattered throughout the game where it's like, this is a nice addition to the story. It just seemed...
You know what my most memorable moment was, actually? The opening cutscene. I loved the opening cutscene. Like, that was probably the emotional high point of the game for me. Seeing the destroyed Halo that you blew up in the first game.
Right.
And then how the Covenant were dealing with that. And then coming from Halo 1 and going into Halo 2, after having read the books, Halo 2 presented a much richer universe than the first game did, and that cutscene kind of parallels that feeling that I had at the time about that. So,
I don't know. Maybe it's because of how often the game goes back and forth. But for some reason, I have this notion, and I don't know if the rest of you guys are like this or not, but it's like I can't really pinpoint how, like, a specific instance in the game that was a significantly bigger impact over any other parts of the game. Like, I know in Halo 1, the flood was definitely a big thing. The library was a big thing. But I can't really point anything out in Halo 2 where this thing significantly stands out above all the other things in Halo 2. Is that just because of it going back and forth, or is that because of just the long and complex storyline that Halo 2 is trying to portray?
if I had to pick between the two, I'd say the latter. But I don't really know. There's a lot of parts in Halo 2 that stand out for me. So I guess it depends on who you are, how you play it, maybe.
I guess.
I don't think I played it enough. Like I think I went through the initial run through and then played the heck out of multiplayer. But I mean,
you played it enough.
What?
What do you mean you don't think you played it enough?
The campaign.
Yeah, every time I signed on, you were playing campaign.
Someone just got busted.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. No comment.
Campaign.
No retort.
I don't remember.
No retort. Uh-oh.
No, I don't know. Maybe I was just playing what the first couple levels or something, waiting for you to jump on. Who knows?
No,
but I think I played a heck of a lot more multiplayer in that game than I did the campaign. The only thing that really stood out to me in this was Tartarus, his betrayal. When you find out that his role in the whole thing.
You know, it stood out to me, beating up an alien in a wheelchair.
Wait, what? I barely heard that.
Yeah, you're not coming through very clearly.
Yeah, you're quiet.
I said what stood out to me was beating up an alien in a wheelchair.
That's not right.
Still kind of funny though.
Damn handicapped prophets.
Them and their floaty chairs.
Exactly.
Can I get me one of those?
I guess
Professor X did it
we know that the cruisers are up to OSHA spec.
Nah.
It's their fault. They're all handicapped. They shouldn't have left their homeworld.
There you go.
Shouldn't have rebelled and stolen that Forerunner ship.
Ooh. Okay.
You know what's interesting? Actually, reading Contact Harvest made Halo 2 a more interesting story experience.
Oh,
really? Why's that?
Man, you need to read the book.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I know.
A lot of it takes place on High Charity.
We've had this discussion. I'm already reading. So
well, I mean the impact of the Dreadnought and its place and its position on High Charity, and how it got there and everything is way bigger, because of that. Just what that it's been going on, and just seeing the prophets and their machinations make way more sense when you realize how they got there. And I mean, those backstabbing ET Reese Piece bastards are just like really just how manipulative they are, and stupid turkey necks and.
Oh yeah, it definitely delves into a lot of the politics behind their positions.
Yeah. But I mean, it's crazy, and it's funny because now I see Halo 2, and I can't help but imagine Huragox on High Charity and things like that. I mean, it's funny, and in all honesty, ODST itself as a game made Halo 2 more impactful.
Yeah.
So I guess it kind of did because that was. You can almost think of that as like a third storyline to Halo, where you have
absolutely.
Chief, you have the Arbiter, and now you have Earth and the ODSTs.
Which is funny. ODST finally brought the story of Halo 2 to Earth that we thought we were going to get when Halo 2 was out. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember the marketing push for Halo 2, but that was a big part of it. And again, especially early on, they were kind of intending on Halo 2 ending it anyway. But, they were talking about how they were bringing the fight to Earth, and you were going to have to defend our home world. And it ended up not, on the Chiefs' end, not really being a lot about Earth. And I think that ODST kind of helped complete that, not a plot hole, but almost an emotional plot hole in a way. So.
Right. Yeah, I see what you mean there. I guess while we're on the topic of ODST, let's just go ahead and transition to ODST. Playing as the rookie as an ODST was a definite. I don't know. It was a nice change from playing as an invulnerable chief to more like a human. I don't know. How do you define that? Because he's definitely badass.
Yeah, well, he was, but it was definitely just more open book as a character. You didn't necessarily
more of a
know
down-to-earth type person.
Yeah. I think it's cool now, when you read the story of Dirt and Halo Evolutions, that makes playing as the rookie even cooler.
I didn't really feel like that added much to the story of the game.
Well, you're wrong and you're stupid. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I love you so much, you know that.
Dang.
Well, it's awesome to see where he came from and how he got back to Earth and how that was kind of it showed humanity kind of falling back to that last bastion.
Yeah.
But beyond that, as a character, what do you think it added to the gameplay experience?
Well, in all honesty, I always wondered, once I was done with Dirt, I kind of thought to myself, man, I wonder what he took from that moment. I wonder what he learned about survival. I wonder, while everything else was crumbling around him, and I wonder what he learned about the difference between being on a team and being a part of a group and being by yourself, and who you could rely on and who you couldn't, and whether or not humanity was going to be its own worst enemy in this fight. Because that was a lot of what Dirt was predicated on, is this war around it, and then you've got humans that are sacrificing and making decisions on who lives and dies, other humans, women and children included, for the sake of, getting rich and getting out of there. It was like ODST meets We Three Kings, which was actually pretty badass. So you have to imagine, as the rookies listening to this story being told, what that old ODST, what he said sunk in and stayed with him as he was going through the streets of New Mombasa, on his own,
Right.
Now I want to replay the campaign.
You should go do that.
I've replayed it. I replay all of them probably 3 or 4 times within a month. But again, I'll probably have to do it once.
I did a complete run through of all the Halo games minus Halo Wars in 2 days.
I was talking on the modcast actually that in a couple of weeks I'm going to do a full run through of Reach right before Anniversary comes out, just
That's
so I can.
Yeah.
I'm doing a Legendary run through of everything before it comes out, and I'm going to do commentary on it. So hopefully it'll be fun. So for ODST, one of the big things was definitely the change from the Chief to the ODST. How do you think that kind of influenced? What am I trying to ask here?
I don't like fruit in my Jello. Actually, I do.
And also, I guess in terms of the story, it was also shorter than all the other Halo stories. Do you think that really detrimented? Do you think that we should have seen more of the rookie story?
Or shorter playtime?
Shorter playtime and shorter kind of story-wise, because it definitely... you're playing within like a 6-hour window, so the events of everything that happened with Halo is usually done over. In terms of Halo 1, I'm guessing that's like a couple of weeks.
No, it's like 2 or 3 days, isn't it?
Or I'm not sure how long, but it's like 2 or 3 days to maybe a week or two. Like it's a significant amount of time. Whereas for ODST, it's 6 hours. So do you think that from what we saw in ODST, do you think I mean, it was designed to be kind of like an add-on, but do you think you would have benefited from seeing more of the human struggle on Earth, or
not necessarily on Earth, but I think we would benefit a lot from getting a more human perspective, similar to what we had in ODST in a game.
Okay, here's a little hypothetical. Okay, let's imagine that they didn't have the back and forth Chief and the Covenant in Halo 2. What if it was back and forth Chief and the story of the ODSTs? Do you how would that have affected the story driving?
You still have more of an emotional attachment to the human side. You wouldn't be able to get to see as much of the Covenant and the stuff that they go through.
I also think that Halo 2 is more of a focus on the Chief's story than it is necessarily the story on the human Covenant war at the time.
I agree, and funny enough, I think that you actually learn more about the Chief, and I think that the focus stays more on the Chief because it bounces back between the Covenant and him rather than the ODSTs and him, because it would very quickly become not about the Chief and more about humanity, but it would be artificially so. Because what's funny is by focusing on the Covenant, you brought the attention to the Chief. And by really getting to know the Chief, it brought it back to humanity, but for real. I'm just going to let your mind marinate on that for just a second.
Yeah. That was definitely kind of a mind bender right there.
Yeah.
Nope, my mind's not bent. I was talking to my wife again.
So it was like contorted.
A little bit. By the woman.
It happens.
Yeah, that's... Wow.
It would be... It would be interesting to see a game that explores the differences between Spartans and just regular Marines in a similar way.
That's actually, I don't know if you guys ever saw some of Alex Garland's treatment, the proposed movie treatment, but that was what he was proposing, was that the story was actually going to be told about a group of Marines that were around the Chief, and the Chief was not the main character, but you saw the Chief and you saw it through their eyes, and to me, that's almost how we see it as humans. Like, we would be those Marines in a way. It's almost easier for us to relate to the Marines than it is the Chief. And so I think it would be kind of cool. It would almost add this awesome sense of reverence for the Chief, and it would make him seem even just more otherworldly and badass by not making him the central character. Because you start doing that, you start having to artificially add emotion to things because, to fit a theatrical audience. But, I think that if they would have done the movie and kind of gone ahead with it, I thought that would have been a very, very good choice, would be to just make it about the Marines and not about the Chief specifically.
So is the idea of the movie completely done? They're not doing it, or I thought it was just simmering somewhere.
Well, not that. I mean, and if I'm not mistaken, that particular treatment wasn't even necessarily an approved thing. It was just one of the things that they were looking at, and one of the things that Garland was trying to get seen and pushed through. I definitely don't see that particular story as having any way of seeing light of day on a silver screen anytime soon. Now, that doesn't mean to say that when they do a Halo movie that it's not going to be kind of like that, but
Well, it's interesting you bring that up, because a lot of the live action movies that we've seen so far have been from the human perspective. The ODSTs, the
Landfall,
the only one that we've seen where it's been primarily focused on the Spartans was the Halo Reach one. That was it, I think, right? Because you have the museum ones, but those were...
Unless you count Starry Night.
No.
I don't count that one as a live action. Because the only...
It's all CG.
Yeah, even
beautiful
the
CG.
The kids were CG, right?
I think they were both, if I'm not mistaken.
What other?
They were CG.
No, the kids were live actors.
Yeah, I think they were live actors with CG overlay and heavy post production.
Kind of like the Polar Express thing.
Yeah.
With the heavy Botox.
Mm-hmm. They looked way better than the Polar Express.
I don't know. Polar Express looks pretty nice.
That dude, when you look
the
up, the
only thing is with how short
a link to that movie comes up.
Clip was, I don't think you could really tell, and plus it was dark. So, but yeah, in terms of all the other live action stuff that we've seen, it's always been of the Marines and ODST perspective. So, I would guess that if and when a movie comes out, there's gonna probably be a heavy emphasis on. Like, it'll follow the story of the chief, but it'll have the emphasis on focusing on the Marines' perspective of what's going on.
Yeah, I don't even think Chief should be in the movie.
I think he should have like a cameo, maybe, or mentioned.
Maybe a cameo.
You know what's weird? I actually don't necessarily disagree with that. I don't know if I completely agree with it either. Maybe I just don't know, because I think it would be tough. When I think about it, it almost makes me almost hope that they don't make a movie, because I don't see a way that you can make a movie and make it satisfactorily be able to build on existing canon and bring something new to the people who you really should be making the movie for, while making it accessible for any new fans. Because if you're going to make a movie that's building on some canon, it's going to be really tough for anybody else to kind of catch on to it. So it's weird. It is now experiencing it through the games and through novels and data drops.
Well, then now we have
it's so hard to make a movie based on with something with a universe that's so deep.
Well, and if you look at it now, we've played, whenever we see Master Chief, we've played as the Chief. So it's almost like, with the movie perspective, it might be better to when you're just sitting there and watching, have it from the Marines' perspective, and then whenever we want something from the Chief's perspective, maybe that's when a game is better off than a movie. How does that sound to you guys?
You know what?
I prefer. I'm biased. I prefer games over movies anyway. I'm saying if a movie even as a storytelling vehicle. So
if you were to have a movie or a game that was based solely around the Marines, but the Chief was still a major part of it, would that game still be enjoyable, or would you rather sit down and watch something like that?
You mean okay, if it was a movie or if it was a game focused on Marines but Chief was still in it? Yeah, like Chief was still a major role of it, and in all honesty, I kind of liked the interesting viewpoint from Halo Wars story-wise. That was really mainly about the humans, and then you had the Spartans there playing their roles, and in some ways the Spartans looked even cooler because of it, because you're like, oh man, like these guys are still just so above and beyond what we're capable of as like an individual human on a pound for pound basis. And then when you see them working together, I mean, it's like, oh my God, it reminds you that that's our weapon.
You're talking about what's great about a Spartan is not their own individual stories. It's just the fact that they're Spartans.
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't need to be about it's not about the who John was. It never was. That's because it was supposed to be us.
Yeah,
but so I mean, Halo.
I think the one exception to that
would be a movie about Spartans would be an amazing movie.
I do. I agree with that. I will say I think that John might be the only exception to that. And even as we
that's been drummed into our head, of course.
If they did something with like
you know more about that Spartan than any other Spartan. It's just that's obvious.
Well, if they did something with the rest of John's group too, that would be interesting in terms of a game. I think that would be in terms. I guess if you were to go for,
I think there's a reason why he went forward. I do think, and if you read, everything that 343 is telling us, I mean, the Halo 4 panel, the stuff that they've discussed was that they're really wanting to explore what Chief meant as an individual. And so I do think that Chief in and of himself is now transcending that role as Spartan and is evolving as a character.
Well, because now he's the only Spartan.
Because what?
No,
I really hope they change that, to be honest.
Well, he's one of the only real well-known Spartans. So, yeah.
Well, for people that have just played the game.
It's okay to focus on him now. But before, in a movie about Halo earlier, like, say, before Halo 4, anything that happens before Halo 4, say the Reach time a movie's made.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it all depends on the era of when this movie's made. Because if it's made after Halo 4, obviously we'll focus on the Chief. But
And again,
if it's made if it's made Halo Wars time, if it's made Colonies,
I think you also have to look at
when is this movie going to be made? What era? That will describe what kind of movie we're going to have.
Yeah.
I think you also have to look at on how whenever the movie gets made, how you want to influence people who are really into the Halo story or people that are just into Halo because of the game.
Right.
Like, when do you cross the line of we want to really make a story that fills in a lot of this back information for the people that we know and love the game.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's the flip side of where, okay, for people that have played the game, we want something that's familiar to them.
Like I said, people bitch and moan about the balance between serving the hardcore fan and serving the new/casual fan. People think that that balance is going to be bad when they make a new game. Try doing that with a movie, where now your audience is a completely new demographic, not necessarily completely different, but much wider.
It's
Man,
really hard.
the concessions that you're going to have to try to
Really
make
hard.
to balance and please the hardcore fan and make it a viable box office trip is man, that's going to be next to impossible. I would almost, if I had my way, I would rather see a PG-13/R-rated series like a Battlestar Galactica, a Band of Brothers, or something like that.
Firefly.
You know, a Firefly, yeah. I mean, but just something along those lines because you can take some time to develop. You know, it's funny. My wife and I were watching Battlestar Galactica the other day. We're watching like the whole the series together, and you know, we're up in like early in it, episode 8 or 9 or whatever it was, and we're talking about how in some ways it feels like it drags, but some things have to drag. Life drags sometimes in order to make more sense, and you can't get certain things across in that 2 to 2.5 hour movie time slot and do certain things justice. And I think that the story of Halo is way too. You almost couldn't have released a Halo movie in 2001 that did it justice. You sure as hell can't do it now. I don't.
I guess
think.
that's true. Yeah.
I mean, like, you definitely have to do one of those. We're setting this up as a trilogy of movies, but for God's sake, you could set up the Fall of Reach as a trilogy of movies.
I was going to ask that next. What would your opinions be of making movies that were based off of the books?
I would want an entire romance story between a grunt and a Huragok.
Whoa, buddy.
Wait, did they come close to one of those already?
Well, and that's up.
That sounds like a YouTube series.
I think a movie based on the books is what I'm most interested in seeing.
You know what's funny?
I would say, which book though? Ghost of Onyx is on top.
It might be. It's funny you say Ghost of Onyx. It might be easiest if you were to do a movie or a series. It might be easiest to set it post-war and to deal with the fallout of that. And because then you can do flashbacks back to things that happened in the games, back to things that happened in previous books, and help catch newer fans up on certain things.
Do they do it from a first-person view, like Doom?
Oh no. You know, but then
do they do the Halo movie like
no way,
like first-person?
No
shooter?
way.
You could then.
That's
well, that was supposed to be a scene from the actual game, right? Wasn't that actually a
Did you remember that, Doom?
Yeah, I remember that.
On 343's freaking doorstep, and Like I'll take a poop in the driveway if they try to do that.
Yeah, you know what? That would alienate a lot of fans.
Yeah, but it'd be interesting if you did a post-war kind of thing. It would be a neat way that you could, because then everything would be new fiction, and then the fans and the hardcore, the casual, the new fans and the hardcore fans are a little more on an okay even footing, and then you could inspire people a little more easily to go back and maybe play the game or read a book. In fact, if you're talking people who just don't really like games, I almost guarantee it would be a funny experiment, because I bet you'd get more new fans to go back and catch up on the story by reading a book than by playing the games. And you would end up with some new fans who have read the books that the hardcore, quote-unquote, game players have never touched.
Mm-hmm.
So, it'd be interesting. I mean, my dad reads the books, and in large part because he's not good at playing the games, but he really likes the story, and he likes discussing it with all of us, the brothers. He likes being able to kind of be a part of that with us. And so he reads the books. I mean, he read through Cryptum and absolutely loved it. He's read through Fall of Reach and The Flood, and so it's always an interesting perspective to talk to somebody.
Give him a lot of credit.
Well, think though, The Flood is very different of a read from someone who's never played the first game.
True. If you can't play, if you've never played the game, then it's easy.
Yeah. So
play the game is really hard.
Talking to him, and he has a very different view of the story, because half of his story bit was not running around and jumping on certain cliff tops and breaking out of barriers. And
well, that's an interesting point. Like, you take somebody who outside of playing the games looks at the Halo story. My wife read The Fall of Reach. Mm-hmm. She loved it. She didn't read anything else beyond that, but she actually, just from reading that one book, anything I talk about out in any part of the universe, she gets because of reading that one book. Like, it kind of, she makes a connection to every part of the series because of what happened in that one book. So, like, she understands the war, she understands the flood, she understands everything from the Fall of Reach, which is weird that she understands the flood.
Yeah.
But she does. It's somehow like she saw it coming. It's kind of a weird.
Yeah.
That's one thing I've been hearing
about the
a
universe.
lot of recently is parents and significant others getting attached to books, the Halo books.
Yeah, no, this is not the first time I've heard that. Definitely, Jeff.
I mean, doesn't that just kind of prove that a lot of this?
It's a good story.
Yeah, that Halo just has it's a good sci-fi universe.
It is.
And it could be made into a good movie, but it's so hard.
Yeah.
The story is definitely intriguing about the universe. Everybody connects to that part of it, about colonizing humans, and then,
it's kind of funny. Like, I almost feel bad. I almost feel like Avatar is maybe, people always make these connections between, the two anyway, but
are you talking about the blue people Avatar?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Avatar might have been Halo's fate had it started as a movie, because you almost get the impression that, man, there really is this big, huge backstory in this fiction and this race of people and this history and da-da-da-da-da. I just don't care. Like, and maybe it's the medium, because I feel very detached from it. And I think that's part of it is because of a movie. It's a movie, and
you can't explore it as much.
You can't explore it, exactly. In fact, you can't even explore it like a book. It may have been better as a book. And that's one of the reasons, when you read Lord of the Rings, I mean, you have time in the books as they're walking through and be like, and they passed this rock, and here is the history of this rock, which had seen many battles and many warriors fall. I mean, you can do that in a book, and you can do that in the Halo books as well. You can expand on why Halsey raised her eyebrow and a little tiff that they had in
back in school years ago, and do that really quick. You can't really do that. You can't do that necessarily in a movie, and it's hard to do even in a game.
Okay,
where you have to keep things moving along at a certain pace.
All right.
So.
Yes. All right, but let's not kid ourselves.
Say what?
Let's not kid ourselves. We could talk about this, but there will be a Halo movie.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of when, though.
It's
because,
just a matter of time.
I mean, at PAX they said they're really not focusing on one right now, so that means it's going to be probably at least 3 years before you even see a mention of a movie.
It's a sheer number thing. The IP is too big.
You know what I wonder? You know what? Here's slight conspiracy theory. And this is in no way at all against Bungie because I bleed sevens. But
you hater.
Yeah, right. No, I wonder if part of the reason why they're delaying the movie is to get a firmer footing on the 343 iteration of the story, so that they can just do a movie based on what has been their IP now.
Yeah, well, that's where if we're talking about numbers here, that's why for the numbers thing, it's fully under their umbrella. They will be able to. That's what makes it more possible. It's if no one wants to back it, then they can actually fully back it themselves.
Yeah.
So they actually less obstacles in their way.
Do you think for a movie, would 343 you think would head it up, or would it be something like you have a director come up with an idea like we've seen like an influx of new authors for Halos, like Glassland's
I think it'd be very similar to what you saw with Legends is a bad example to use, but I think it would be run the same way while yielding maybe different results. Because I think there was also a cultural difference, which is why Legends turned out a little bit different than maybe fans had anticipated. But I think, let's say, for example, you had Spielberg do it, that it would be, Spielberg and O'Connor. I mean, it would be a heavy, heavy dose of 343. And so, but it would still be, but you'd still allow, because if you're going to go through the trouble of hiring a movie guy, I mean, you let talented people be talented. 343 aren't movie makers, and I think that they should put, they're doing a good job. When they decided to explore the story of the Forerunner, for example, they didn't say, well, let's do this completely in-house. No, they went out and got Greg freaking Bear, who is an icon for telling that type of story. So I think that they're trying to, maybe they haven't found their Greg Bear to make a movie, essentially. Maybe they haven't found that, that kind of a match. Because I would imagine that that's what they want, is they want to let someone who is talented at telling a story in that format, in that medium, and let them do it that way. You don't want to just, completely take control and be a control freak on that, because you're not going to allow it to reach its full potential on that. You've got to let you've got to have someone who will take advantage of what the medium does allow you to do.
Well, I think what you're a little talking about is the fact it was 343. If 343's in the cockpit throttling this, will it be true to Halo? I think
You mean
we
true
know
to Halo
that?
as in Halo canon, or do you mean
Halo canon, anything Halo, the whole thing? Are we trusting 343 with Halo if they're going to drive the movie? Like if that's who is going to be behind it, who would you rather have? And that would probably be the best candidate for that.
Well, I mean, if you look at how.
No, but you know what I mean? Like it's if from what we've seen, or what we're the pattern of 343 is, look who they're hiring. Look who's on that. Look who's on that staff. Look who is driving the Halo Warthog right now. Sorry, no pun intended.
Hey, it's cool.
You know, I think the people who are driving it right now, if those are the people who are going to be charged of a Halo movie, I'm positive.
You are positive, or you're not?
I am.
Oh, okay.
I think that they should still have like an influence over the story that's being told, but should leave all the production and the I guess the big methods of presentation.
All I
to a
care
director.
about, if there is a Halo movie being made and 343 is involved, if anything, Frank O'Connor better be on that movie writing of that movie.
I think you would.
That's all I care
In all honesty,
about.
I
If
also
that gets
think that
made,
you would have people like
and that's
Jeremy, and Jacob also being fact checkers. Hell, they may have Stephen Loftus help.
They might not. You know, sometimes they only do that. They make a small thing and will make it their own.
Yeah, that's true.
Some studios will own it, and they'll only take a writer or two. But if they take Frank, I'm be a little okay. If I had to, you know, you have to pick one, and you have to pick something if they're going to take just one. I'm just trying to, you know.
Yeah, I'm looking forward.
I'm trying to be positive, but you know, if just they suck up this project and it's just one writer.
Now, here's another question. Would you want to see a movie that is more like the live action that we've seen with like the CG elements where needed for like the alien stuff, or would you want to see a heavy CG with a lot of mocap?
I could
what?
do heavy CG.
That's a great question.
I would actually almost prefer, like a heavy CG, and there's one main reason for that is you have no excuse then but to not use the proper voices.
Exactly.
Ooh,
you don't have to worry about casting. If it's John, it's Chief, whether armor on or armor off, you get Steve Downs to do it. You get Jen Taylor to voice Halsey, to voice Cortana. You know, you get the right people voicing the right, and it's
heavy,
easier to do then.
Then
you don't have to worry about it.
So very heavy CG.
Yeah. Now normally I would
like a
say
Final Fantasy type of shit. Not shit. I'm saying.
I don't think that would be a good
way.
movie. That wouldn't attract a lot, like a wide audience.
It is. I agree, and that will be tough. And what's funny is a lot of people, would say that it would be tougher
fuck the wide
to do,
audience for us. Fuck them.
And in all honesty,
might
I
be
have
better
no
as like a
problem
TV
with
show.
I have no issue with thinking that they couldn't get the Spartans right as far as size and everything. Because, have you seen the actors in Lord of the Rings? They aren't all the size of hobbits and dwarves, and they did a
pretty good job with that.
with that. So I'm not even worried. But you can do some brilliant things with.
I know, yeah, but you know what? It's a different. And that's
would be my big concern. You start casting Samuel L. Jackson as Sergeant Johnson, I don't know, beat someone in the face.
Yeah, that no, you can't do that.
And that's why I think it should also stay away from the characters we know.
It's so hard.
That's another good point.
It's hard because it's like we're trying to think of what we would like to see, yet in turn what would be kind of
What about a movie about the insurrection?
That'd be awesome. I would love that.
Yeah, I want a lot more on the insurrection.
Yeah, see, what I want from a movie is something that's going to...
then you could have... Go ahead.
That's something that's going to expand on bits of the universe we haven't seen, because the thing for me is a movie retreading ground that we've already been on will be awesome. It'd be awesome to see that in a movie form, but it seems like almost like a waste of time that you could have spent adding something new to the universe.
Not to mention that, I mean, if you look back at the, when you look at some of the UNSC ordinance and everything like that, I mean, we've been using the same shit forever. So you would get to keep a lot of that visual identity. Now, obviously, you would lose that Covenant side of things, but at the same time, you would still be able to see things like, don't quote me exactly on dates, but, things like Hornets and Falcons and Vultures and Scorpions and Warthogs and things like that. I mean, you could bring all that in and still have a very, very Halo feel to it, but it would be a very Halo human feel to it. And you know, maybe that's a really good way to approach that. And hell, even if you do kind of like the Band of Brothers TV series, that would be another good way to do that, is to do more of like an insurrection. Because, dude, you can even still have ODSTs, you know, like, and ODSTs could play your Spartans in a way. It would almost play. I mean, that was one of the big issues that ODSTs had anyway, is they weren't that top of the line trooper anymore.
Right.
You know, they felt like they were being replaced. Replaced or phased out. You know,
that would be a great way to like highlight the transition that went on in the UNSC between the ODSTs feeling like the top dogs and then the Spartans coming in. You'd be able to see it before the Spartans were there.
That would be interesting.
And not only that, you could still have Spartans, because Spartans were around for decades before the Covenant threat. So, you know, Spartans were created originally to fight the insurrection. So, you know, you could still have your Spartans going in, you know, and doing what they were doing as far as the insurrection goes. So,
while we're on,
you did a movie, you could even end it with contact, you know, with First Contact at the very, very end of the movie.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Speaking of movies, we have Halo Faith coming up and Operation Chastity.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, anticipations on those movies? Do we think that?
I'm really anticipating Operation Chastity, and part of that is just biasly because, you know, I'm close with Pete Cooper, and I know his heart is really in the right place, and I think he's going to do it some justice. Halo Faith, I just don't know as much about. I certainly wish them the best. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Operation Chastity. I kind of feel emotionally more vested in that. It'll be interesting to see how that comes across.
So that basically leads me to another point, and for people in the chat, we'll ask questions really soon. We'll wrap this up here in about 10 minutes. But
yeah, I need to go.
You have to go? No.
Like, you guys don't want
you gotta go, you gotta go.
We're only about like halfway done, I feel.
We're still on ODST, technically.
Yeah, we're still on
ODST. Not something that you tackle, though, in one podcast and not do it justice. I mean, now we're back to the whole movie thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the one last question I wanted to, or the one that just came up, was, do we now look to movies as being, since we have two fan films coming out, do we look to possibly see interactions between 343 and fans to make a movie and make sure they're somewhat accurate in the Halo universe, or do we still want to see some kind of major production that is driven by 343 to be added directly to canon and have movies be done that way? Like, do you think that one will be overpowering to another, or do we just need, or is there just a need to see both?
I think you need to re-ask that question.
Okay. So
what exactly are you asking?
So,
like, do we want mainly movies to add new canon or be a rehash and a revisualization?
Well, I mean, the two movies that are coming out, they're not necessarily rehashes, are they?
No, I think I'm pretty sure they're both specific stories. That they're both.
But so my question was, do we want to see more of these indie movie makers possibly team up with 343 to give additional stories that could be like fitted in with canon, or do we want to see the future?
I've said before that I wish they would do a Halo Legends 2, but instead of doing it animated, that they should hook up with a lot of these film, you know, the independent film developers and have them do a series of 7 live action shorts set in various places.
Okay, that's what's kind of what I was asking.
Yeah, that's what I think. There you go.
Yeah, I agree in that. If you're going to do anything live action, it's definitely going to have to add stuff to the, add more to the canon.
Absolutely.
Not rehashing anything. Because then you not only, I mean, you basically said you brought up all the problems with that when you went over the movie earlier. whether it's movie or anything else, you're just going to come across problems hashing between the hardcore fans, and then bringing somebody else into the current canon.
Right. Okay. I think that pretty much wraps up the discussion. So we'll go ahead and ask for questions in the chat, and we'll be giving away a code here in a few minutes.
I actually have
a question. Since Grim is here, can I bring something up real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Grim, you've had the more opinionated approach to a lot of this, and
sorry.
Which is why I don't want him to leave, because he has a lot to say.
I want to know how you felt about Apartment 117 when they brought that up.
Oh.
Wait, about what?
Apartment 117.
I do not know about this.
What? It was like a one episode
Apartment 117
comic thing. Yeah.
Loved it.
Or not
like
comics, or cartoon type thing.
Think kind of parody spoof about, not even necessarily about Halo directly, but about being a Halo fan. It's kind of weird to even describe. If you just look up Apartment 117, even on YouTube, I'm sure it's there. But I'm almost positive on Waypoint, if nothing else. So.
Wait, I think the term they used was Halo obsessed idiot.
Yeah, I actually think that was the term they used.
Yeah.
What did I think about Apartment 117? In all honesty, I thought it was kind of funny. Like, and partly because from the very outset, it was not taking itself seriously. Like,
yeah.
What I thought about it was, I thought that it was kind of neat that Halo itself had reached a point to where whether or not Apartment 117 was any good or not was notwithstanding. I think it was interesting that the franchise had reached a point to where that was a viable idea. The implementation I didn't really care for, but I think that it was, that was a viable attempt at doing a bit of a, kind of parody thing. It was like, I wasn't a big fan of Odd One Out, the Dragon Ball Z style.
Shut your dirty mouth.
Episode. No. I
Wait,
wasn't.
someone actually liked that?
I loved it.
Yeah. Well, no. Here's the thing. I wasn't like a huge fan of it in and of itself with everything else. However, just on its own merit, I think it's freaking hilarious, and I can look at it and be like, oh my god, like that. It's really funny that Halo has grown to the fact that we can now have like first party parodies of itself. That's one of the things that sets apart things like Star Wars, and is that you can have these kind of parody deals about it, and and Red vs. Blue, I think obviously very much counts as that. But I saw Apartment 117 as just kind of like that. Do we need more of it? Probably not. But I didn't have an issue with it in and of itself, as long as people weren't bitching that the needler he was using wasn't canon or something. Like.
There weren't enough needles. He should have had to reload.
Well, wasn't it supposed to be an entire series? Like, it wasn't just supposed to be that one episode.
I'm pretty sure that it was supposed to be a series.
I don't think it ever officially hit Waypoint, though, did it? I think it just got put up on YouTube.
No. They debuted it on Waypoint.
Yeah.
But
I don't remember seeing it on Waypoint.
They got too many complaints over it.
The reason that I liked that and that I liked Apartment or Odd One Out, it's the same reason that we like Fails of the Week. You're not going to get like some hardcore MLG guy that's going to come in and be like, God, that guy's such a retard. Did you see him get hit by that Banshee? They're just going to laugh the same way. You can't take it too seriously, and that's why I think it's hilarious. And if 343 and Microsoft and the people that are in charge of it cannot take it seriously, it may not be the best implementation, but it's a step in the right direction, and putting some humor into this very serious universe where you can just step back and laugh at it, I think it's awesome.
I will say that I would rather them spend most of their first-party resources and efforts toward doing something, doing things that were serious for the franchise. But I have no problem with things like that just in general. I mean, another kind of interesting example was the ODST and Spartan Mega Blocks stop motion animation things. That's not necessarily supposed to be canon. It's a bunch of, Mega Block guys. But I thought it was really cool. Like,
I thought that was awesome.
I mean, I was like, that's sick. Yeah. That's really, really cool. And I think it adds a neat little dimension to the franchise, not to the story, but to the franchise. And I think that's what helps it be taken seriously overall, is when you have those elements that you can just breathe about it and be like, oh my god, like that's funny. That's a funny way to make fun of it. Again, no one does it better than Red vs. Blue, but
yeah.
But yeah, that's my general opinion. I have to apologize because I feel like every time somebody asks me my opinion on something, I'm like, I don't know if you're prepared for what I'm about for the bandwidth that I'm about to suck up.
Well, talking about opinions, Nutcase201 asks, how do you think that the Halo franchise will change with the now crossover from Bungie to 343?
It'll change vertically.
As in what, going up?
No, just vertically.
Just vertically?
I think it's going to be different. I think it's going to be pleasantly different. It's the best of both worlds to me. We get continued Halo, and I think it's a fresh new vision on Halo. And we also get a brand new universe to explore from the people who made us love the first franchise.
Good way to put it.
Bungie gets to stretch their legs, and we don't have to have a new Bungie universe come at the expense of no more Halo.
But do you think everyone's going to be looking at it that objectively?
No.
Have you seen the forum?
No, but so, I mean, if you have an open mind about it, it's. I mean, we're looking at a new trilogy, so obviously the story is going to be different. We're not going to see too much of an overlay hopefully not too much of an overlay from the Halo trilogy to the Reclaimer trilogy. And I don't think that really will present too much of an issue in terms of, this is not the Halo that we're used to. It's like, well, no, it's a new trilogy.
Yeah, so, I don't even think it
I'm looking
matters
forward
how much
to having it.
crossover there is. It's just, is it quality? Yeah. Because quality is going to mean, quality can come in a lot of different forms. And as long as it's a quality product and their hearts are in the right place and they are listening to the smart things that fans say and ignoring the stupid things, then I think everything will be okay. I think it's going to be good. There wasn't. I didn't completely relish 100% of everything that Bungie did. I'm not going to 100% completely relish everything that 343 does. Because,
how do you know?
Well, because they're because they're human. I mean, that's the fallibility. There's going to be stuff that maybe I don't necessarily agree with, but overall, I am never going to judge the Halo franchise by one game or one live short or one animated parody, because the Halo franchise has meant way, way, way more to me than any one release or title. Yep. And as long as it continues to go in that direction, it's going to be badass, and I'll keep buying shit.
Lol.
Well, that's awesome that you can be that optimistic about it. Personally, I'm kind of scared as to what's going to happen or what direction it's going to go or how I'm going to feel about it when it comes out.
It's weird because I was scared at first with the whole transition from Bungie to 343 because Halo was basically Bungie's baby at that point. They'd been working on it the most, and you do see people that worked on the Halo project, but now we have different creative minds behind it. So it was my first opinion was like, well, this isn't really going to be the Halo that I'm used to anymore. Am I still going to like what I see? But then I kind of got a little encouragement from going to Halo Fest. It's like these guys are definitely serious about what they're doing.
Dude, Reach wasn't the Halo we were used to.
Yeah.
I mean, it took a lot of things that we would have figured are staples and switched them around, but the core was still there, and I just don't think that the core is going to go anywhere. I could totally be wrong. It happens hourly. I can go get my wife if you don't believe me.
I think we're going to have some drastic thematic changes with the remake.
I'm kind of cool with that. Cryptum was a drastic thematic change and one of the best things to happen to the franchise.
Yeah, definitely.
But you have to. I mean, here's the whole age-old argument of fans versus casual players. Is it going to be made to the point where people are going to say, yes, this is Halo, I want to play it because it's good? Or is it going to be so different to the point where it's different in terms of Modern Warfare 2 is different from Black Ops? Like, and those are two completely. I mean, they're still part of the same franchise, but they're two completely different playstyles.
I don't get the feeling that they are.
I mean, I don't think that it will. Yeah. I mean, it'll be somewhat subtle, but it won't be that drastic. But there's, I mean, there is the possibility.
Think about this. I kind of imagine it this way: if we were going to have a heavy departure from what makes Halo Halo, it probably would have happened when they released Halo Wars. And my personal opinion, it did. I mean, you totally changed genres, you totally changed developers, you totally changed the core mechanic of the gameplay, obviously changing. But you know what? It was still Halo. You still felt, I mean, everything down to
it doesn't feel that way to me, actually.
Really? See, it does to me. It fits
to me, it's a side story. I mean, yes, it's still part of the Halo universe, but whenever I think of Halo Wars never enters my mind. I think of Halo CE, Halo 2, 3, ODST, and Reach. I don't think of Halo Wars.
Well, Halo Wars is a side story, but
it is. But so does ODST.
Yeah, as a deeper exploration of the universe, though, that's what it is to me.
What I'm saying is that it is just as viable an addition to the whole franchise as Reach is. And I think that whatever 343 gives us is going to be just as worthy an addition to the franchise as everything that has come before us. And it would actually surprise me more if they put out a piece of crap than if they put out something that was just amazing. And maybe that's biased because we've been, a lot of us in this chat room have been blessed with the opportunity to spend real quality time with the people who are responsible for making this game and adding to the universe. When you talk to people from everyone from Frank to Bonnie to Allison to Jessica to Jeremy to Jacob, everybody is working their butt off to do the best that they can. There's no slacking off there. They're going to mess certain things up, but that's understandable. But man, not once have I ever gotten the feeling that what they are adding to the stew is not going to be a delicious spice.
Just a different spice.
Just a different spice. All right. Italian one night, Thai the next. It's still full, and it was still yummy.
Lol. Another question that we have in the chat, and I think this is pretty easy to answer. Do you think 343 will try to rewrite past fiction from Halo CE Reach games from Bungie now that they're making games to work with the fiction? That's an absolute no.
Definitely not. We've seen that with the data drops for sure.
Yeah, and
they're doing the exact opposite.
Yeah, they're completely reinforcing it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't think we're gonna have to save the data drops for another show because we're not. We're not gonna have time to get to them tonight, guys. We'll
come on, let's just keep going.
We'll save that for after Cruel Legacy. Cruel Legacy is our guest next week. So the show after that, we will save that for this data drop discussion. Any other questions? Throw them up. We'll take one more in the chat, and then I'll give out a code, and we'll hit the Halo 3s and the Halo Wars and the Halo Reaches, and then we'll wrap up for the night.
Whoa, wait a second. You're going to do all that and then wrap up?
Well, we've done Halo 2.
I think you're gonna have to do this without the Grim.
Aww.
Which sucks.
Yeah,
I really want to. I really want to be a part of that conversation.
You want to keep your Saturday night free for next weekend? We can do this again.
That might not be out of the question. I mean, dude, don't change the schedule on account of me. I'm just saying I won't be able to join that, but I will gladly listen to the rest of the podcast and talk to myself.
I'm just saying that you're probably one of the more
vocal,
obnoxiously loud.
Yeah.
No, not necessarily, but I can have a lot more input than we do into the whole. It seems like you're more involved in the Halo fiction than the rest of us are.
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
I'm still reading the Ghost of Onyx.
I take a little.
I mean, I think no, I really do think I just talk a lot. I mean,
maybe that's it.
Isaac, I mean, and people, other people in this room, even Rukari. I don't know if he's still here. You know, but like, you know, there are plenty of people.
There he is.
We're all here.
Word.
He's just like, nope, you just talk a lot, bitch.
Forget all this story stuff. I just like to shoot shit.
Well, then you should be on the next one because that'll be multiplayer. Or the last one. The one on November 12th.
Yeah.
But, yeah. And, I mean, in 3 years again, we'll probably have the same series of shows. Or somewhat similar. Well, maybe in a more condensed form. Probably. We'll see what happens. But,
yeah, in 3 years we'll be talking about Halo 4 ODST.
Or Halo 4 or something.
Or maybe the result of that prototype suit.
There you go.
I don't see any other questions in here. So I guess we'll just go ahead and move on, and I'll give out the code in the chat. So yeah, let's go ahead and move on to. Should we do Halo Wars or Halo 3 first?
Halo Wars.
I heard someone whisper Halo Wars, so I guess we're going Halo Wars. I mean, in my opinion, the story for Halo Wars was really good. The storytelling was done really well. Granted, it wasn't like a first-person shooter that most of us are comfortable with as it is.
Yeah, I pulled the right trigger and nobody died.
It's been so long since I've played that game. I don't even know what the...
Halo Wars was like a Fisher-Price RTS.
What do you mean
It was like a My First RTS.
Yeah.
It was cool because you really only needed one button.
You didn't play
it was like, hey, you want to move over here, hit A. You want to select people, hit A. You want to nuke them, hit A. You want to like hit a lot of people, just hit A a lot, or maybe hold A.
No, it
just
wasn't
say the letter A.
Halo Wars was a great introduction to RTS for me because I had never played any other ones, and now I just started playing StarCraft 2. I don't think I'd be playing it if it wasn't for Halo Wars.
Yeah, no, the same way here. I tried to play like Command and Conquer, and it was not pretty.
Oh man, I love Command and Conquer.
Oh, I think the story is neat and everything. I just didn't know a lot of it because I kept dying. So.
Oh no, it definitely. Oh man,
Because the problem with Command and Conquer is another one of those issues with mapping it to a controller. Is Command and Conquer would be like, pull both triggers halfway, hit Y 3 times, hold B with your thumb, click both sticks down, move them into the right. This will bring up a sub menu.
I don't think I found it that difficult, but I don't know. A buddy of mine used to play Command and Conquer room to room using the PS1 freaking the Link system, and when I heard that Halo was coming out with an RTS, man, I was like, oh yeah, I started dancing. When I got to play it, I mean, I really think that for RTS using a controller, that is probably one of the best UIs I have ever seen. Okay. Now, It was definitely a great way to bring anybody who's new to RTSs into the genre.
Well, it also brought a lot of RTS fans to Halo because there really wasn't exactly a huge smattering of that genre on the 360 in the first place.
This is very true.
I mean, they did a damn good job just on the RTS end of mapping all that stuff, to a controller and making it accessible even for RTS veterans, so that they could play something on the console and play something with their
and not
console
cry about
friends. Yeah, well, they were going to do that anyway.
How many people beat Halo Wars on Legendary?
Me.
I did.
Getting General in Halo Wars is the only Halo achievement I don't have, including Halo 2 Vista.
Right here. Oh wait, no, I am missing a couple other achievements.
I'm missing a lot of achievements.
I don't have in that game.
Yeah, I've got all the achievements on all the Halo games except that frickin' General achievement, and it's probably not going to happen.
See, I'm
not good enough for that not to take 6 years.
Wait,
I don't think I could even tackle Legendary.
Didn't they kill the servers on that?
No.
No? I'm wrong. Okay. Oh, just the leaderboards.
I don't think they even killed the leader. They were going to, and there was a gigantic revolt and pitchforks and torches and everything. Oh, really? And
that's good to know. I'm glad to be wrong about that.
Early in the days of the Waypoint Forum, that was like the first major war zone, basically. Yeah, that was the first big uprising of the fans. Was all the Halo Wars people migrating over from the Halo Wars forums. They shut down the Halo Wars forums, and then they all flooded over into the Waypoint forums. And, I mean, they literally kept Halo Wars going directly because of fan request.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
That says a lot about the game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think it's awesome that it's got that kind of sub-community.
I want Halo Wars story itself.
They really care about the community. I mean, that's the thing. They really care about doing the right thing. So,
I think the Halo Wars story itself brought some really cool visualizations. I mean, watching the Spartans work together visually, the whole Dyson Sphere, which is a different classification of Dyson Sphere than we see in Ghost of Onyx, but it's still cool nonetheless.
Oh, yeah.
What I liked about Halo Wars was actually getting to see all of the vehicles that you're used to fighting against from an overhead view and get this better tactical perspective on how they're actually used.
And not just that, but getting to see some new vehicles.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're playing a first-person shooter, you can't completely overload it with vehicles, and that's understandable from a gameplay perspective. But an RTS is vehicle-based. And I mean, I think the things like the Vulture and the Hawks and everything were really neat additions to the franchise. And I, for one, would absolutely love to see some of those appear in maybe some other bits of fiction, whether it's you see the comics and or if they did some other animated shorts or something like that, or animated pants.
So that kind of leads into a question I have. How do you guys feel about 343? Like merging all the different elements of the fiction into their future games.
Love it.
Kind of like what we saw in Origins, having different Covenant ships from Halo Wars and then from the main series.
Yeah, I think it's awesome.
An actual game.
To me, it makes the universe more real. It makes it more robust. It connects things together. You feel like it's a part of something greater than just whatever small part you're experiencing at that time. Like, I loved watching Legends and seeing in Prototype, and they escaped on the ship, and they were heading to the Midlothian. And then that story immediately kind of carries over into the heart of Midnight in the Heart of Midlothian, in Halo Evolutions and the motion comic. Even just simple things a little like that.
Yeah, not to mention the ships that they escaped on were the same ships from Halo Wars.
Exactly. Yep. Which are like, man, space shuttles that need a diet plan.
I think conceptually they're an awesome vehicle.
Oh, yeah, I agree. Actually, you know what I liked even a little bit better was the vehicles that the New Alexandria citizens were trying to escape on.
Oh, yeah.
Those were so cool looking.
There were some subtle similarities between the two. Actually.
Oh yeah, I agree with that as well.
You think that was intentional?
Yes, I think so. I think it was intentional. Although it may have just not been intentional. It just might have been almost unavoidable because they all draw similarity, even from everything, kind of a cross between a Boeing 37 and a space shuttle. I mean, you know, and what they were being used for was that kind of more civilian based. So it's kind of only natural maybe that they tend to look like each other, even if it wasn't artistically intentional. It just might have been practically intentional.
Yeah.
All right.
What about the flood in Halo Wars? Can we bring that up as a topic?
That's
like,
kind of weird because the wasn't the flood just supposed to be like on Halo?
No.
No, definitely not.
They mentioned in other bits of fiction that there were lots of Forerunner installations that held specimens of flood. And in all honesty, I don't see what the big deal is. That almost makes more sense. Like, you know, I don't think it was necessarily smart, but you know, it makes sense that there would be other installations that, you know, maybe had flood specimens on it or flood lying dormant even.
Well, I'm of the mindset that there's probably flood remnants in other locations as well, not just Forerunner installations. I mean, given the flood's life cycle and how it works biologically, there would be something preserved somewhere. And because it came from outside the galaxy, we could, you know, hypothetically still get invaded again from outside, depending on what we see in the future of the Forerunner trilogy, of course.
I don't know if I really want to see flood again.
I think
or at least not for.
It's unavoidable given everything we know about them.
Yeah,
I like the flood personally.
Not in Halo 4 though.
I wouldn't mind seeing,
like Halo 5 maybe.
I wouldn't mind seeing the flood if maybe it was like a new imagining of them, and I don't mean just artistically. I mean like it was a new evolution of them in their life cycle. You know.
It'd be interesting to work that into what we know.
Yeah.
What I think Origins Part 2, the second part of Origins Part 2, is actually kind of hinting towards what we're going to see in the future, because there's a lot of things seen in there that don't mesh with what we've seen in the past of Halo. And there's that one scene where the Gravemind hands Chief Cortana on the little AI chip. Do you guys remember that?
Wait, what?
In Halo Legends, Origins Part 2.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I rewatch it so often, so I like latch on to all these details that haven't been explained yet. And I just have this theory that Origins, it covered past, present, and future. It did the Forerunners, it did the Human Covenant War, and then it did stuff that we don't know what it is yet. And it's my theory that the Flood could possibly be, in some convoluted way, an ally in the Reclaimer trilogy.
That'd be weird.
They were slightly an ally in Halo 3. I mean, for like 7 minutes, but.
And that was awesome.
Yeah, I actually did like that.
I think maybe one of the reasons I might not like Halo Wars as much is because of it's such an isolated story. It didn't tie in with the other Halo games. So maybe that's why I don't like Halo Wars as much.
It's isolated, but at the same time they weren't afraid to go big with the story.
It has a lot of ties if you are looking in the right spot, though. I mean, there was a big rivalry between Anders and Halsey, you know, and it's very interesting.
Details of that.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how that might have affected things, or just, you know, the fact that there were Spartans there, and now we also know that somewhere out there are Spartans in Cryo that are just chilling somewhere. I mean, so.
Oh, there's lots of Spartans out there that we know of.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on what happened to the Spirit of Fire, you know, in the following, 20 years before the events of the Halo game. Because anything could have happened. I mean, for all we know, the Spirit of Fire got blown away in the 20 years it's been floating around.
Yeah, that's true. Man, that would suck.
That would.
We finally reveal what happened to the Spirit of Fire. It actually crashed into a gas giant.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
No, that would be terrible. But I think if they do explain what happened to the Spirit of Fire, it's going to be explained Well, I hope it's not, but I think logically it makes more sense that it's going to be separate from the main Halo series.
I actually have no even real super issue with that.
With what?
With it being separate. Like
Okay.
I don't really have an issue with.
You know what it's going to be? It's going to be like in Mass Effect 2, and you go through the relay and you see the Pillar of Autumn. You know, it's going to be. It's going to be. We go in Halo 4 and we go inside the Forerunner structure.
Spirit of Fire
Spirit of Fire is just chilling.
So that's where the Marines.
Poor Cutter's been like, this damn car wash takes forever.
I still want to know how the Flood got onto the Shield world. That's a big plot point for me because the Shield worlds were specifically made to guard against the Halo effect and the Flood. So if the Flood are on a Shield world, that means that it has kind of failed in a very extreme way.
Wow, if that's the case, that makes you wonder about the other Shield worlds.
Yeah.
Well, and there's some are in slip space and whatnot, so it's a little bit harder. But
yeah, they haven't really clarified what all different kinds there are. We only know of 2 at this point.
Interesting. I guess I never really paid attention too much to the Halo War storyline outside of what the game portrayed.
There's a lot.
Interesting.
I revisit every aspect of the Halo universe at different times, and it always comes back up. All those unanswered questions.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand how there were pure Flood forms on the Shield world if it wasn't at coordinated stage. And they say they're infected life forms, but it doesn't fit what we know about the Flood's infection of life forms, and that bugged me. But I kind of over-obsess about the Flood.
Slightly.
Just a little bit? Just a little bit. Is that kind of it for Halo Wars? Should we move on?
Sure.
So Halo 3.
Damn
it. Grim's like, I should go, but I want to stay.
Should I stay or should I go now?
In my opinion,
I'll do that again.
I don't know. For some reason, in my opinion, Halo 3 was... I mean, it was a good wrap on things, but it seemed like the easiest campaign and probably the... I don't know how to say this without pissing a lot of people off.
It was the easiest campaign out of any of the Halos.
Yeah.
You can go ahead and say it. We all know it.
Definitely easy, and I want to say not as filling as...
It was very short. That was the biggest problem.
Yeah, okay. Maybe that was it.
I remember beating it and thinking, is this really the end? This can't be the end.
Yeah, okay. Maybe that's it. But in my opinion, it was... they rushed the ending almost. They rushed the wrap on ending the whole Human Covenant War and then firing off the Halo, and that was it.
Yeah, I think it
feels empty to me.
Easily.
It feels empty, in my opinion. What are your guys' thoughts on this?
Well, I guess it depends on what you mean by empty. Like, I think fiction-wise, universe-wise, Halo 3 is my favorite game to explore. But in terms of main story, they definitely did not do justice to everything that was supposed to be happening in the story, or that did happen in the story. I mean, it's the climactic ending to this war that's been going on for, how many years? 40 years?
It's not that long, is it?
Pretty sure. Or longer. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
When was First Contact? It was... I thought it was more like...
Come on, Dan. I know you know that.
I guess it was
Jeff.
20,
Jeff,
20
come on.
25 years.
Help us here, Jeff.
No, this is a Dan.
First Contact was 25.
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening.
Oh, so
yeah.
So
how long was the Human Covenant
27 years. Because it was 2552 was Halo 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
it was about, 27 years. Yeah,
27
25 was First Contact.
I'm very bad at numbers and working with them quickly.
Yeah, so it wasn't that long. Although
You would be good in government doing budget balancing.
That's funny.
Yeah, 27 years.
But I mean,
that's a long time to be almost a victim of genocide.
Yeah, and to finish off this war that's been going on for that long.
I mean, in my opinion, so much of the campaign could have. How do I say this? Like the first 2 levels could have been almost one campaign mission, not in and of itself, and then the storm or what was it? Savo Highway in the Storm could have almost been like one level of itself.
It would have been cool to have the Guardian Forerunner Sentinel level in there that they cut.
Wait, which is this?
It's a level that they cut from the. It was actually
it's a Strato Sentinel.
Yeah, the Strato Sentinel. It was isn't Guardian the name of the multiplayer level with the trees?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was the basis for the single player level. Obviously, it wasn't going to be just that big. But yeah, that was a section of the single player level that was going to feature, I think, even maybe like a boss type battle with a Strata Sentinel.
No, I think the Strato Sentinel functioned as part of the level. Isn't that what they said? It was in like the Halo 3 art book or something.
Yes, that's what it was. It was okay. So it was the Guardian Sentinel. I think that it was what you're going to fight. They almost looked like the marathon enemy. That's what the Guardian Sentinels always reminded me of.
Or the hologram on what is it?
Yeah, a lot like the Epitaph. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Is that all we have to say about Halo 3?
I think
that was kind of short.
What's the most memorable about it?
I mean, it was awesome. I loved the fact that that you played. I liked that in co-op that they had new characters if you played 4-player co-op, and that those were canon additions kind of to the universe.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked that addition.
I mean, the fact that we're not talking about much, doesn't that kind of mean that the game was?
That's hard.
I will say, Halo 3 was an interesting because when Cortana was talking about there being another way to beat the Flood, I always thought it was something different than firing the replacement ring.
Yeah, me too.
And I was almost disappointed that it was the replacement ring. And then I don't know if you guys have ever read the short story Petra, which is at the end, I want to say, of First Strike. I'm almost positive it's the end.
Which one is that?
Petra is a short story that is written by a journalist post-war, and she is gathering up intel, and she's doing an article about Cortana's intel, and she keeps replaying the part where Cortana says there's another way, and she's basically alluding to the fact that she actually thinks that Cortana meant something else, and that's always what I thought as well, and I think actually there are some things in Cryptum about the old human flood war that maybe she found. Well, you know what? People need to read the damn book.
I agree.
I'm pretty sure that if you're coming to watch the 19-hour Podtacular Halo story epic, you might want to, put your spoiler blinders in your pocket. And so I imagined that. Now, here's the funny thing. I don't even know if maybe the stuff that was in Cryptum had even been thought of yet, and maybe they just found a really cool way to involve that in the story. I really don't care where it came in the story, as long as it all fits and makes sense. So, but I have to imagine that they are kind of slightly preparing us for Cortana having figured out another way to beat the Flood, and I think that may come into play in the next trilogy. And if that's true, then obviously that means that we're going to see the Flood in some sort of form. So, but again, I think it will deal a little bit more with a different evolution of the Flood and a different style of fighting them. And I think if you really want to read into the name of Reclaimer trilogy, maybe it's John reclaiming humanity's air and destination and rightful place as the real weapon against the Flood, not the Forerunners, and making up for what the Forerunners couldn't do. For all of their prowess, it was humanity that knew originally how to beat the Flood, and we wouldn't share it with the Forerunner, and they hated us for it.
On a similar note, do you think Johnson's immunity to the Flood might have anything to do with that?
I don't know about his Johnson.
Wait, what?
What?
His Johnson.
By the way,
what are you thinking about there, Grim?
One of the greatest college football endings in history was just accomplished by a team named the Spartans wearing green. Oh yeah. Just saying.
As soon as they talked about humans having a cure for the Flood that was partially genetic, where they sacrificed a third of their population, I thought that had to tie into Johnson's immunity in some way. Maybe he would
I don't know about that. I'll say I wouldn't see it out of the realm of possibility. I don't think that it ties in, but you can totally feel free to dump some Jello on my head or something if I'm wrong.
Jello.
Johnson's has to do with the Spartan 1.
But I think
not Spartan 1, Orion.
Well, same thing.
No.
Semantics. But I will hit you with something big.
How about I hit you with my special edition Halo art book? Oh, wait.
Shut up. I will hit you with my Noble 6 Mountain Dew bottle, of which there's only 200 in existence.
Oh, that's pretty good, man.
Yeah.
I hope you just don't.
There's 1,000 of your book. There's only 200 of this bottle.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll hit both of you my legendary statue of Chief and Cortana, or that's Chief's hand with Cortana by Weta, which there's only.
Oh, that's a good one too.
How many of those are there? Like 100?
I think that's got me beat.
I was gonna say my grunt plushie, but that's what 300, 600,
5,000.
5,000 of those.
Oh, there were that many?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot.
Oh, I didn't.
How about the award given to the original Halo development team in 2001 by Microsoft as a thank you for launching the original Halo? Pretty sure there's not very many of those left.
Where'd you get that?
In my swag bag.
I hate you.
I got nothing in mine.
Or my Art of Halo 3, which you can find for maybe a cool $300-400 on Amazon, eBay.
I can find one for like 100.
It's worth that much now?
Yeah.
Wow. Awesome.
I don't have anything that special.
Such a pretty thing to look at.
It is such a pretty thing to look at.
I have signed RVB posters. That's about it. Oh gosh. So, is there anything else that we could talk about in Halo 3?
Terminals? That was the first intro.
Terminals. Okay, let's talk about that. That's actually somewhat interesting.
Terminals taste good.
I need some damn honeycomb.
I mean, this was the first glimpse. Up to this point in the books, we really didn't see anything about the Forerunners, did we?
Not really, just...
Because this was the first time that we actually saw information about the fight between the Forerunners and the Flood.
Pretty much.
So that was definitely interesting to see, like, how they're reacting back and forth. And then there was who was it? Mendicant Bias and
Offensive Bias.
Yeah, I love the dialogue between Mendicant Bias and the Gravemind.
Yeah,
that was probably my favorite part. Well, one of my favorite parts of the Terminals.
So, I mean, I thought that was a pretty interesting addition to the game. And I hope
that was amazing.
Yeah.
I hope that 343 expounds on that greatly in the Reclaimer trilogy.
Well, I mean, it made Cryptum really cool. I mean, it just, really, really neat.
Yeah.
So, in terms of, man, I have to go back and read those because it's been a while since I've even seen those.
Okay, what about the last terminal? I don't know if it's based on what difficulty you're playing on, but the last message you ever get in a terminal says, "No, there is more, but you are not worthy, not yet."
Yeah.
You guys remember that?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
That.
A lot. Yeah, we had those things printed out and read the mess out of them.
Yeah.
Well, now you have a little flash thing on HBO too.
Yep.
Or the transcripts on Halopedian.
I had a little site up for a while going.
Are there
But-
transcripts of the data pads yet?
I don't know.
I think so. I think I
transcripts?
read
I'm
them
assuming
all.
that-
Yeah,
Yeah, I
there
haven't-
are. Actually, there's a site called Planet Halo. Oh no, Reach Planet or Planet Reach.
Wait, there are still planet sites? Wow.
Yeah.
It's like 1998 all over again.
Oh.
Hey now, they have a spinning globe and everything.
So sweet.
The Reach datapads though didn't really seem to be that involved in really telling much outside of Reach, from what I remember.
No, the data pads were very important to the entire history of Halo.
Oh yeah.
Maybe I didn't read them closely enough.
It basically tells you how the whole Human Covenant War was orchestrated by this group of beings which we haven't seen.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah, that's kind of a big deal.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a big deal. But we haven't seen anything like it.
Then I definitely need to go back and see those because.
Go to Forward Unto Dawn and check out the articles that Danny wrote up. He did a great.
Yeah, those are really good. Those are really good.
Gosh,
I would
slacking
read the
here.
I would read the transcript. I would read the transcripts first.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But then, but then definitely go and read the Forward Unto Dawn specials on that.
Yeah, I'm slacking here.
This applies to anyone who hasn't looked into the data pads more. Yeah, it has a lot of implications on the story of Halo as a whole, but then in a more direct way, we haven't seen any consequences of the information revealed in the data pads. Like, is it going to show up in the Reclaimer trilogy, or don't really know yet?
I find it hard to believe that they are just not going to show up.
Oh, obviously they're going to, just like the Halo 3 terminals showed up later on. So
yeah, the whole transcript of all the data pads. If you just look up data pads on Halopedia, and the whole thing is there.
Okay. I still haven't found all those.
That was a fun run. I remember running through and grabbing those.
I grabbed them all.
I generally only like to do stuff like that if I get achievements, recognition for it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if I can read it online, that's easier.
Well, while we're on the topic of Reach, I guess we can go ahead and make that transition from Halo 3 to Reach.
Sure.
Reach. So, and I have to go back and read the book, but Reach was basically the Fall of Reach was basically focusing on the Chief's perspective of the events around Reach and what he was doing, and then Reach the game was actually what was happening.
I wouldn't even say that.
Right?
I would say it was the inception of the Spartan program as a whole.
Yeah,
I mean,
Reach was,
the story of Chief kind of drove that a little bit.
I'm talking about the story of Reach here. I mean, I know that there's the whole first half of the book is about the whole Spartan, the Halsey getting the Spartans and whatnot. But in terms of like the Reach story, the separation from the book and the game is basically the book takes the standpoint from what Chief does around Reach, which I guess is really a small portion of the book, isn't it?
It's like the end.
It's like the last 3 or 4 chapters?
Yeah, I do think it's funny. Like, I think there might be more Reach falling in First Strike.
Yeah. That's why I need to go back and reread that one soon.
But I mean, as far as that goes,
what
was your opinion? Because there was the whole debacle of having the game of Reach like alter the canon.
I don't think it did.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about that.
Especially the more that comes out with the data pads and everything, the more it's much easier to reconcile. Again, when you really kind of get it all said and done, there are no larger differences between Reach the game and Reach the book than you find in any of the other various bits of fiction that are back and forth or I mean, there's some people have had some issues with ODST versus Halo 2, so.
I don't know why people were more vocal during Reach. Like that's how I saw it too. It was no bigger than anything else we'd had before.
I think maybe that people were wanting / expecting to see like a parting kick in the balls from Bungie. Maybe they were just thinking that they were, any little discrepancy was just them trying to sabotage the story or something, which I think is total bull. I mean, I think that may be part of it. And it's also the latest thing. As soon as Halo 4 comes out, people will bitch less about Reach, I'm sure.
We'll see.
The only thing that really bothered me was the Pillar of Autumn being on the ground, but
yeah, that was the worst. Well, the dates.
Yeah, but the data pads are helping explain that too.
Yeah, I love that.
Like I don't even, again, if we imagined that there was let's take Pearl Harbor for instance, okay? Pearl Harbor, if all we know is that the Japanese flew their planes from Japan over and they bombed Pearl Harbor, does it make a difference if we suddenly learned actually the Japanese had an aircraft carrier halfway and they took off from there instead and still bombed Pearl Harbor?
Mm-hmm.
How does that make such a giant difference? I mean, and I know it's a little more complicated than that, obviously, because of what they were preparing to do with Red Flag and everything like that. I know it's not just where did you start, but in some ways it is that simple. Like, okay, it was in space. Oh, it was actually, in dry dock. Okay, well, if there's a decent explanation for that, or maybe there was just like, what, it made more sense for the betterment of the story over the whole thing. Things match up more if it's in dry dock at this moment in time. You're just gonna have to kind of go with it. Okay, I'll get over it. Like, I don't want that to be. I absolutely do not want that to be the general rule. I would much rather that to be the exception, and for you to either A, think about and plan things better ahead of time, or just live with kind of the consequences of the canon, But if that's an exception, and every once in a great while we have to accept some new, again, it's like, Well,
and I mean,
did I say something about the human? Was this podcast or the other one about human history?
Oh no, this podcast has been going on for so long. It might probably was this
what
one.
I was saying is like human history itself has been retconned way more than Halo. So,
I mean, as long as it doesn't like significantly adverse the.
Yeah, then there's no real problem.
Yeah.
Well, it was like when I saw that, it bugged me, but I was fully confident that they were gonna take care of that issue in the future.
Right. Yeah.
If they were suddenly saying, like, if they suddenly wholesale replaced all elites with brutes, that'd be bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they suddenly said, oh, it wasn't the fall of Reach, it was the fall of the moon. Okay. I mean, but actually, hey, the Pillar of Autumn, it wasn't in space at this moment. It was in dry dock. It was in space, just before, just after, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Right. I mean, hell, they went so far as to make a multiplayer map out of Gamma Station, which was the Chief was on performing a mission in that whole time period anyway, to kind of help show, hey, here's when Reach was in space, here's what it was doing in space, here's why it was in dry dock at this point, all of this stuff. I mean, they're doing a pretty good job. In all honesty, they didn't even necessarily have to do that. They could have just as easily said, hey, this is how it was, deal with it, here's our new stuff. But no, I mean, they're putting some intellectual resources towards helping solve some of, help tie up some of those strings.
Yeah, they're definitely going above and beyond.
Can't be perfect, but I feel like, if fans were a little bit more willing to meet a developer, franchise steward or whatever, halfway, they would start to see neat things about the story that they were too busy bitching about to see in the first place.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of things. It's like, man, because I'm relaxed about the story, I'm able to just enjoy it, and it's a richer universe because I don't ask dumb questions. Not too many questions, but it's asking stupid questions and harping on, like, the wrong thing. I mean, it's like being out with, like, the, hottest girl on the face of the planet and being like, oh, my God, look at her toenail polish. And be like, right. She's totally into you. She's going to be with you for the rest of your life. The best thing that ever happened to you. But, man, I just can't get past that toenail polish. This isn't going to work.
I was actually pretty upset with the community around that time with how much they were complaining.
I agree.
I went to the length of writing an article that I was going to, submit if they didn't shut up.
Yeah. It's, and again, I have no problem with fans being involved enough in the franchise to be that passionate, but you end up going so far north that you start going south eventually.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's,
Damn that nail polish.
Damn.
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
As long as
This really is the fall of Grimm. Okay. I have to get going.
All right.
All right. I've got a lot to do. I love you all, though, and thank you so much for allowing me to sit and view my sometimes unnecessary opinion on an imaginary
it's cool.
thing.
It's cool. We appreciate you coming.
Absolutely. I hope my wife says the same. Okay, so you can edit that. No, you can't.
Yeah, I do. I need to go myself.
She's like, yeah, I'm going to.
Grim exit stage left.
Well, it's my stomach's
just splice out me saying honeycomb from the last one and just slide it right in there. It won't make any sense, but neither does half the stuff I say anyway. So. Love you, chat room.
Oh, later, bud.
Catch you later, Grim.
All right, see you, Grim.
See you.
Good night, man.
Gosh, now I feel like this.
On that note, I also want to point out, Sick had left abruptly, and she didn't mean to do that without saying goodbye. She went out to go get food, thinking that she can come back and rejoin and not have a problem, but her machine went on sleep mode and cut her off. But I just wanted to make sure everybody knows that she's sorry for that. She wants to say goodbye in the right way, but she's also now busy. But she didn't want to make it seem like she left without saying goodbye.
All right, that's cool. It was good to have her on the show. I think we're gonna probably wrap this up pretty soon too, because Grim left. He's the talker apparently. But I mean, in terms of Reach overall, I mean, I don't see it as too much of a letdown. There was some talk earlier about how I forget what exactly was said, but it was something along the lines of how for the Reach campaign it wasn't necessarily along the same lines as the rest of the Halo story, which I mean makes sense. It wasn't Chief and all, but I still felt it played a integral part to setting up the rest of the Halo story.
I think
that
it did
was the sole intent, though.
Because I mean, you're going back and pre-pending what was Halo, which made this franchise so big, and it was nice to just get some backstory, even though it wasn't necessarily as top quality as Halo 1 and Halo 2 were.
I think it would be a good job of emphasizing what was so important about the first Halo game and everything that led up to that point. That's why I like Reach, because it puts more emphasis on the first game, which we have been lacking in recently.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We're all talking. Slight derailment, but what I think would be fascinating is for people who have only played the games, because the Easter egg at the end of Reach, if you haven't played it, too bad, because I'm going to spoil this egg for you. You can see the Master Chief on the Pillar of Autumn, but it's just an egg.
Are we sure that's the Master Chief?
It is the Chief, but there's no storyline to it. It's just there to see him. It's just
not,
like,
I don't think it's canon.
Yeah, it's just like when
there's the whole
Monkey Man at the end of ODST. It's not fiction at all. He's just there.
Yeah, I mean, there's the whole debate of it might have been Kelly or.
Yeah, it's supposed to be Chief because it's just kind of a toss in because he's there in his cryo chamber and that's where you start Halo. What I think would be cool, and I could even take this as Reach DLC, and I don't know if they can do campaign DLC for Reach, but what would be awesome is if we could see how the Chief actually got on the pillar. Because a lot of people haven't read the book, so they don't know.
And that starts to cross the boundaries
like
between
an hour mission, just like an hour long, for 800 points or something, just to get the Chief onto the Pillar of Autumn.
I don't think they can do.
It would counter a lot of the things that we know from the books, and that would drive a lot of fans crazy.
Well, that's
I think that's one of those things where it's like, I don't know if you really need a game DLC to really explain that, because the books probably do a good job as it is already.
But we do have some people, sadly, in our community who refuse to read the books.
Well, that's their problem.
That's their loss, not our problem.
Yeah.
Not the communities.
But if you do something cheap, quick, throw it together with a decent amount of quality, and just make it like an hour long, something to quickly explain how the Chief got there, and make it playable. I think it could be entertaining enough and enough of an add-on, which again, it probably can't be done as a campaign add-on in Reach. But I think it would be neat, and I think it would be a quick and easy and dirty tie-in to explain to people how the Chief actually got there, and it would finally make people stop saying, "Oh, that was the Chief on Reach. Of course it was really the Chief. You guys need to shut up because the books aren't real." And that would quell a lot of those debates, and finally some of us could be in peace. Because too many of them think it's the Chief on the Pillar of Autumn level in Reach. Oh my god, ads are going crazy. There's too many people, whenever you play Halo Reach, on the Pillar of Autumn level, when you see the Chief, there's too many people that will argue with the rest of us who have read the books and things that will say that clearly it is the Chief and there's no denying it because he's there. Or that it's Kelly or whoever. So if we could just get a quick playable story mission to explain who's where for the people who won't read, so that we can stop arguing with them, and so that people know how the Chief actually got there. Because it's one of those clarification type things. Because for one, I would like it if the dates changed on the Pillar of Autumn level, so that when you read the book and play the game, the Pillar of Autumn isn't in two places. But I'll let that slide. I'm not going to worry about that. The whole retconning, this doesn't line up with that. I don't care that much. I just kind of want to put the Chief on the Pillar. I don't know why I want to, but I just want to be like, "Hello, Captain Keyes, I'm here."
I think it would be a cool little mini campaign, but as an experience. But like I said, I think it would contradict too many things in the books.
It would have to be super short, definitely. Otherwise, it would be boring.
It'd be more of a risk to make more damage, I think.
Yeah.
If you were to do something like that.
Overall, I don't think it's as worthwhile as an.
Yeah, it's probably not feasible, but if it could be done, I would love to do it.
I mean, you can almost do it like maybe a graphic novel or something like a Fistful of Arrows type thing.
But I want to play it.
I would definitely be open to campaign DLC. I think that's an awesome idea because being able to play more parts of the story than just the main game would be really cool, I think.
Yeah,
but
campaign DLC first came up, as far as I know, with June. Everybody wanted to know what happened with June.
That would be a cool one. But again,
yeah, I agree.
Now we don't want it to overwrite Fistful of Arrows, so
yeah,
maybe make Fistful of Arrows a DLC.
There we go. I can live with that.
That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be interesting. I mean, in terms of campaign DLC, if we're going to see side stories like that, I would almost want, I don't necessarily want to see side stories built into the campaign. I think the DLC idea is pretty good, but I would like to see more in future Halo games, more of an option to explore side ventures and side stories. So if you were ever in, take Halo 2 for example, like a city thing, there would be possible side missions that you could do while you're running through the campaign, so it's not quite so linear. What would your guys' opinions be on that?
I think I could handle that.
I mean, you won't want something that really strays away too much from the main objective of the level.
Almost like
you want something that kind of enhances it if you want to pursue it.
Similar, it's along the same lines of, damn it all, Nightfall. If you're doing a speed run on Nightfall, you don't have to go over there and help
the Marines
or anybody.
Right.
Something like that, except instead of just simply helping the Marines, there's something that is story-wise that although you wouldn't lose anything if you, say, didn't do it, but you would definitely gain
something if you did, yeah.
I think it depends on how they would put it into the campaign, because I think if done right, it could be really cool, but at the same time, Halo is meant to be like a single solid storyline.
I think there's room for those additional.
There's room for it, yeah, definitely, but it has to be done right.
Right.
I think it'd be a lot like those lone Marines that are always suicidal. It's interesting to see. We've all seen war movies, so we know what the suicidal, Army Marine is in the movies and such. But to see them talk about the Covenant and, they speculate on things, because when you see them in a movie, they've pretty much figured out what happened, but when the Covenant is pretty much a mystery because they just sit up in space and then turn your planet into a marble, it's interesting to see the speculation I think it was on Reach where he was talking about he was thinking like the zombie type thing where they bite you and then you turn into the Covenant and all these other things. And I was like, wow, that's interesting that they kind of don't know anything.
Well, I don't know how in canon that is.
Yeah. Well, probably some of his thoughts. I bet a lot of Marines and such had similar thoughts if they're at the breaking point. And if they don't know, they have a lot of wild speculations.
It's an interesting idea.
It's probably not totally canon, but I mean, it's probably in the heads of a lot of
less and less canon as each game has come out. Now here's an idea. What about a campaign DLC exploring the story behind all of the Spartan 3s that you see in Lone Wolf, all the dead bodies?
I could totally dig that.
Because that opens it up to so many different story possibilities. There's no real restrictions on that.
Yeah, I would totally do that.
Speaking about the Spartan 3 things, I'm still a little uncomfortable with the whole idea that the Spartan 3s are already out on Reach. Because, I mean...
What do you mean out? Fighting?
Well, I mean, how long had John been a Spartan 2 between then and the events of Reach? I mean... Wasn't that long, was it?
Oh, the 3s happened really shortly after the 2s. Actually, I can't remember the years now. Yeah, it wasn't a great gap.
Okay.
If I remember right, it's actually in the Fall of Reach where you're seeing, wasn't it Ackerson that was getting into Halsey's files?
Yep. Yeah, it was seeded in the Fall of Reach.
Yeah, so that's where you get which you don't, at that point, we don't know anything there, but at that time you see where the author and Bungie, Microsoft, whoever was overseeing the project at the time was like, we're going to go farther and we're going to take this in different directions. Or they just ended up really lucky.
No, I just didn't know where that. I mean, it seemed like a pretty quick turnaround to have Spartan 3s already up and at it. Because how many? There were a lot more Spartan 3s compared to Spartan 2s, right?
Oh yeah, that was
definitely.
Was the armor not as great as the Spartan 2s were?
It was different. It wasn't the same technology.
Yeah, initially they had the SPI armor.
Yeah, which was like a camouflage.
Yeah, it looked a lot like the EVA helmet, and it was like the camo armor.
It was smaller, more compact. Did it have energy shields? I don't remember if it did.
I don't think it had any shielding at all.
Yeah, and then it kind of moved along in the canon to the point where the Spartan 3s were kind of the prototype testers for future armor.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Provided they survived.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it seemed like the Spartan 3s died off a lot easier than the Spartan 2s did.
That was the
and there were
point of them,
a lot
because they
more
were
of them.
so cheap. You just send them out and then train more.
Mm-hmm. That was basically if I'm remembering
That's
correctly.
a lot of people missing in action.
Yeah. But that was one of the biggest motivators for the Spartan 3s was the cost.
Right.
And how long it took to train the Spartan 2s, and they wanted to get more of these super soldiers out in a shorter time frame.
Make Oni look a lot more powerful than they were. Oni
is pretty powerful.
We just have all these guys that are missing. They're probably fighting battles somewhere else, but they're missing. They're not dead.
They never die.
They never die. But yeah, the Lone Wolf level, because I mean there's been also the speculation that Noble 6 isn't dead yet. I think everyone knows that he's dead by this point.
Yeah, hope so. He got stabbed straight through the chest.
So, I mean, there's that whole debacle for a little while. That didn't stand as much as it did for June. And since we now know that we'll be seeing more of June, I guess that...
Wait, we'll be seeing more of June?
I thought they said at Halo Fest that they will be exploring the story of June.
I think they said the exact opposite. I think it was Frank O'Connor who said we may never find out what happened to June. That's interesting that we get two different things.
I think,
there.
In my opinion, until we're told otherwise, he's dead, because we've already seen that these people can, just like with the Spartan 3 thing in the books, they can plant seeds very well. So he's not mentioned in any books or any other games or anything. Like in Ghost of Onyx, it's not like I had a Spartan escort bring me here from the other base, but he just decided to leave. And unless he got called off for something vitally important, I can't imagine him just leaving.
Wasn't there something though where, like someone reported that someone left using Halsey's access card, but it wasn't Halsey? Wasn't there something like that somewhere?
I don't know where that was.
My Halo facts are very sparse and spread out, as you can tell.
Well,
it's possible, but it doesn't sound familiar to me. I'd have to.
And they could be completely wrong.
On a separate note regarding June, why do you think they're not? Assuming what I heard and remember is correct, why do you think they're not going to explore June's story or fate?
For me, I don't know why they wouldn't tell us. I just simply, I assume he's dead. He hasn't been mentioned.
Because I think it's a pretty big plot hole, and they'd have to have a pretty solid reason for not exploring it. And the way I see it is, and I think this is really cool. This would be really cool if what I'm thinking is true. They're trying not to overwrite Fistful of Arrows, and trying to pay a little respect to Leviathan by allowing his story to stand alongside the canon. Maybe not.
I was going to actually ask that earlier, if they were going to actually accept that as canon now.
I don't think there's anything official on that I know of, but it would be kind of awesome if they did.
I think they're not going to confirm that it's canon, but I think they are going to, from what I've seen so far, it seems like they're going to go out of their way to say that it's not canon, you know?
Yeah, it may be one of those things where, like, maybe, you know, you guys should look at this if you want to know about June. Just saying.
Or they could be leaving it open for speculation, just for the meaning behind it.
Or for the lulz.
Lol. I mean, any fan could take it upon himself to actually come up with any other stories, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's quite possible they're just leaving it open just for that speculation.
I guess. I just personally see it as a tribute, kind of, to Leviathan.
Yeah.
Way.
Hey, it's worth it.
Yeah. And that speaks again to how great 343 is at, you know, managing this community.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we've been at this for about 4 hours. And I think everyone's probably getting tired at this point. So unless you guys want to, like, speculate a little bit on Halo 4, but we did that a few weeks ago, so unless you guys want to talk about
don't
that.
Get me started on Halo 4 speculation. I'll start just running my mouth off.
Who's doing the soundtrack for Halo 4? Have they announced that at all? Because I've been wondering, are they getting...
Yeah, they did that at the Halo Fest.
It's the guys on the train in the background. Yeah, there was the audio guy doing the Halo 4 panel. Wasn't he doing
some? I want to say his last name's Tajima.
That sounds right.
Like Sotaro Tajima, I think.
He was there.
I want to say that's his name.
Look it up. Let's see.
I don't like looking things up. I like being right. And the internet likes to tell me I'm wrong. Oh, I typed in the first name and it already filled it in. Let's see here. Audio director of 343, Sotaro Tajima, if I'm saying it right.
There you go.
No, yeah, that sounds right.
And what other game series did he work on? I remember they said that, like...
he was worked for Konami, so I think he did MGS4.
That's what I remember them saying was Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, I think he did Metal Gear Solid 4. I can't remember what else he's
I
done.
haven't listened to the music for that, but...
Castlevania.
Oh, okay, here we go. He was the sound designer of Metal Gear Solid 4. He was the music composer of Metal Gear Solid 2, Zone of the Enders, Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes, Metal Gear Solid 3. Jeez, he's got a pretty good-looking resume here.
Most of the 343 employees do.
Is there a reason why Marty isn't coming back, or is it just because it isn't Bungie?
Yeah, Marty's Bungie.
Yeah.
Okay. I also just read that apparently 343 Industries was given control over Halo Reach and the servers just this past August.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I just read that. So now Bungie's officially let go of the game, even Halo Reach now.
The date was August 4th. Everything after August 4th was in 343's control.
Yeah, it was kind of a big deal online, but like as far as gameplay, it did a really smooth transition.
Yeah, Bungie still has the file share and the video renders, and that's about it.
What about game history and all that good stuff?
That's going to be moving to 343. They're going to have a new website update just coming up in about probably 3 weeks-ish. They say sometime in the middle of November.
Yeah, a lot of it's on Waypoint right now.
Did you guys not see the recent press release about all the additions to Halo Waypoint?
Yeah, Atlas and everything.
Yeah.
Well, what about game histories for the older games, since those have all been on Bungie? Halo 2, 3, ODST.
They'll have
Halo
everything.
Waypoint.
I would assume they would do a database transfer.
They have everything, yeah.
Sweet. That's what I was wondering.
Will they make it look as cool as Bungie had it?
It's it looks really cool.
Different.
Yeah, it's like
really
so
sweet
different.
looking.
I mean, the way the stats have been on 343, and granted, until we see the new update, can't really say much. But I've liked the Bungie stats better than the Halo Waypoint stats thus far. They've been easier to look through.
I agree. I'm just looking at my service record on Halo Waypoint right now. It's different.
Unfortunately, I'm being paged. I'm being called away at the moment, so I do have to jet. Yeah, the current stats layout though, that's kind of the old format they've had for several months now. But the new format, there's a video of it on the website you can watch, like a preview.
Yeah.
You get a feel for what it's going to look like.
Until I get my hands on it though, I just what it feels like and navigating is going to be different.
So if you want to preview though, they're going to be revamping Halo Waypoint, the 360 app, Halo Waypoint, the website, and Halo Waypoint, the Windows Phone 7 app. So all three are getting a new visual makeover, as well as the entire basically back ends of all those are being upgraded.
Android.
Anyway, I got a jet, but thank you guys. It's
all
been
right.
fun.
Thank you.
Later, man.
Have a good evening.
Yeah, have a good night, bro.
Yeah.
Later.
Peace. All right.
Well, I'm gonna have to gracefully bow out as well.
Okay. I guess at this point we'll pretty much wrap things up. We'll take a few questions and we'll give away one more code and wrap things up. But
is Rakuzel even awake?
No, he said he went
to get food.
Yeah, he went to go get food.
Oh, okay.
So, but if you need to leave now, Psycho, you can.
Hi guys.
All right.
Thanks for having me on here today.
Thanks for coming.
Let
Appreciate it.
Yep, absolutely. No, it's my pleasure.
I'll have to get you on officially at some point.
That'd be great.
The two of you. So
I'll mention that to her. But yeah, you guys have a good one.
You too.
I'll go ahead and exit stage left.
Stage left. Alrighty. Okay. So first question that we have in here. How do you think 343 is going to combine current fiction with Halo 4? I honestly don't. I mean,
we don't know what's going to happen in Halo 4 yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's a whole new trilogy. We're not. I mean,
we do know.
They'll definitely keep things. They're not going to go back and change things. We're definitely sure of that, but we don't know what new things they have in mind, really.
I do think. I'm only going to lightly touch on this because it's basically a whole different topic. But basically, Bungie, in my opinion, decided to leave Halo. Not because they didn't love it, but because they wanted to do something else, and I can't blame them for wanting to take a break from something they've done for 10 years straight.
Yeah.
More than 10 years, because they worked on it before they showed it. So, they were in contract to basically, and I'm not trying to say anything bad about Microsoft either. Microsoft's had their ups and downs. I'm not trying to say anything bad about them, but they basically said, you have to make us Halos because we want money. So, and then Microsoft made 343, and 343 is composed of people who are there because they love Halo, not of people who are paid simply to make Halo. They didn't just go out and get the best people and said, hey, you make Halo. They said, hey, you've got talent. How do you feel about Halo? And right. So I think that the fiction and the franchise as a whole is in very good hands. So going into Halo 4, I don't think we're going to see a lot of things that, people are going to nitpick one way or the other. But I think that they're going to be very careful on trying to make sure that, previous fiction fits in, stuff from the books fits in. Currently what we can see is, I'm assuming from all the ice and stuff that we saw from the trailer, let's just go ahead and say that the trailer is canon. Not just something to show off. Let's say that it's part of the story.
You're talking about the artistic trailer, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Or no, the reveal trailer for Halo 4. The Wake Up John.
Oh, okay.
So let's go ahead and assume that one's officially part of the story. We can assume from that they've been in space for probably a couple of years because of everything's frozen over. It looks like it's all icy and snowy or whatever. Also, it's the first time that Chief has woken up because Cortana says, I need you. And Chief said, wake me when you need me.
Well, we don't know that it's the first time he's woken up.
But Cortana's probably not the type to nag and just say, Chief, I need you. I need you. Server's down.
But at the same time, I don't accept that.
Because Chief would probably just look, wake me when you really need me.
Yeah, but I can't accept that the cryotube refitted his armor.
Yeah.
There has to be something to explain that, and I'm sure that there will be, which leads me to believe that it's not the first time you woke up.
Yeah, and they say that there is explanations for the armor, but that's how I look at it as how they're going to take care of things. Is when Cortana said, "Chief, I need you. Wake up, John." And because I think we've only heard him called John twice in the games now. If that, I don't even remember if she called him John in Halo 3. I want to say, no, she didn't call him John. She said it was the coin's fault, and that's when they referenced the books. That's what I'm thinking of.
The first time anyone called him John in the games was, I think, at the very end.
Yeah, the memorial thing.
No. When she says it's been an honor serving with you, John.
Yeah, that's right. And then there was the, oh no, it didn't say John 117. It just said 117. Okay.
Yep.
I had a little bit backwards. So we can already see
a point in Halo 1?
No. I don't even think he actually had a name except for the book. And probably by the time they recorded everything, they may not have had a name at all picked out. I don't know. We'd have to find somebody at Bungie to find out for sure. But just like going from that trailer and some of the stuff they put in from previous games and the fact that she calls him John and things like that, it's albeit very small, it's an indicator to me that they've looked at some of the stuff that's already been done and that they want to implement that so that people can go, I know why that's there. Yeah. That's my thinking on it.
All right.
Well, I think Halo 4 is going to tie more heavily into the fiction of the first Halo game and the Forerunner stuff that came before that than anything else. Because
what do you mean? Like, what connections do you see it from the first game?
A lot. The quote by Guilty Spark saying, "Last time you asked me if it were my choice, would I do it?"
Oh, that stuff. Okay.
Why
Sorry.
would you hesitate to do what you've already done?
I just had to think, okay, what parts in Halo 1 references as like, okay.
I think that that's been one of the longest standing mysteries of, or one of the more longer standing subtle mysteries of the Halo games, And I think after 10 years, they are finally going to answer that.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. And I hope they don't do time travel.
When I was at Halo Fest, it was when I was originally trying to introduce myself to Vociferous, because, we've talked through email and played games, but I was like, hey, look, I know this guy, kinda. He was surrounded by people, and they were all trying to pitch their theories to him. And when somebody had mentioned the whole time travel thing, he literally said, until you told me that idea had never crossed my brain space.
Mm-hmm.
So either he doesn't know what's going on, or he's got a good poker face, or there's no time travel.
I don't think. I think there were a lot of complaints about time travel in First Strike, and 343 recognizes that and are not going to introduce something that's going to piss off the community in that way again.
Yeah.
They're not going to make the same mistake twice. I know it wasn't them, but as far as Halo.
Right. Okay, well, I don't see any other questions in the chat. So, I think that's pretty much a wrap. Unless you guys have anything else you want to add. We have been on here for kind of pretty long.
I think we've had some pretty good discussions.
Yeah, I think we have. So, thank you guys for coming out. Thank you to our live listeners. According to Ustream, we hit up to 166 unique listeners over the course of the event.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty good. And we will be having our last one of these on November 12th, which is the Saturday before the release of Halo CEA, and we will be talking about multiplayer.
Yeah.
It'll probably be shorter than this one, probably about 3 hours max, just because, there really isn't too much detail to talk about, because Halo 1 is going to be pretty short. Halo 2 is probably going to be the most involved in the discussions because of how it was basically the introduction to multiplayer on Xbox Live and all the maps that we got there.
Yeah.
And then Halo 3 will be Forge and whatnot. So
Yeah.
It'll probably be a little shorter, but it'll still be a good thing to listen to. So it'll be the same time, same place, or it should be. If it's not, we will definitely let you know. But keep your calendars open, and we will look forward to seeing you then. Our next regularly scheduled show will be the one for Cruel Legacy. He will be on, and we'll be talking about Playdate Season 2. He's releasing his last episode for this season this week. So we'll be talking to him about that. What else do I need to mention? Anything else? I think that's it. So thanks again, guys, for coming. We have 4 people left in here right now.
And then there were 4.
I think Ricari is still out getting food. So
I'm gonna come back to empty Skype.
Yeah, nothing will be going on anymore.
Is the Wing Dome still open?
Well, he is in Washington, so it's what?
Yeah.
9:30. It's 9:30.
Maybe he went to Dick's. I don't know. Man, that was good.
I mean, most restaurants are still open till like what, 10?
I don't know. Around here, it's like 9 or 10. But
Dick's
I don't
is amazing.
A city like him.
Dick's is amazing.
So cool. I will be handing out the code here as we wrap up. And thanks again, guys, for coming.
Yeah, no problem.
Definitely.
Thanks for having us.
It was a blast.
Hope to see you guys next time. A few of you will have to actually get on formally on the show. So we will do that in the following months to come.
When's the next fiction related discussion podcast gonna be?
I don't know. Actually,
You have
because
to let me know whenever that happens.
it seems to have been a hot topic lately.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say about multiplayer or anything else. So
Yeah, that's probably going to be a different audience in terms of what people will get. I mean,
yeah, multiplayer.
everyone that's been on the past decade shows is more than welcome to come back on, but we'll be looking to get some other people, especially from like other clans.
Yeah.
Because that's where the majority of multiplayer lies, is within the clan environment. So we'll have to see if we can get that set up with some other people. Anywho, that's a wrap, guys. We'll see you in 3 weeks for the next decade show, the next and final decade show.